breaching in. This is going to be a bit of a stalemate between these two countries.
Oh yeah, if Nasty gets knocked, that's it. They'll definitely move. The Bruneians definitely will move in. Now Nasty starting to recover himself with the bandages that he has. He doesn't even have a first aid at this moment, so it's going to take him a bit of time. Galaxy doing the same as well. Now the smoke being popped out. Are they getting ready to take this fight? Nasty is up and healthy, back to 80% of health. Very minimal boosting, but it should be okay for him. Now he's going to cook up another nade. And couldn't toss onto the side of Zico. Not sure will it land onto Zico just yet. But looks like Zico is still alive.
Well, it's not done and dusted for the side of Nasty. I'm not sure if it's enough for the bandmates only. They really need to work out their loots here. We do see one grenade being tossed over on the other side. There's going to be exchanging of grenades while Nasty still have a lot of room and space to work with. I'm not sure if the Bruneians team coming out from ATS there actually knows exactly the position of the Singaporeans. Almighty, Nasty and the rest of the team coming out, this Singaporean teams really know how to play the mind games. While we're going to swap over to the teams of coming up Indonesian and also another Bruneian teams this time having it a go. It's going to be ESB versus Asal and the rest of Indonesian teams.
And will be knocked down. So that means the Bruneians, they need to press the eject button. They cannot continue that fight unless they can save their teammates, but it's going to be a bit tough being in the open. Now we go back onto Severny. Now, things have changed. Severny isn't in the circle, so they need to decide. They need to finish this fight quickly, and yes, that's what they're going to do right now. Bruneians are starting to push it.
Oh boy, now changing back to Laos versus Indonesian team right on top of this Gakka mountain, while Singaporean actually won over Brunei's just now, having a bit of a exchanging of trade between those two. Indonesian are having this mountain by himself, but Nasty having a really nasty spot to work with, hoping for his teammate to finally make the call. What a nice cleanup by Moxie. Managed to survive a bit more longer. It's going to be Vex and Nasty hoping for Moxie to just revive them on time. Hopefully there's no third party coming in, but back to his Gakka Mountains. This is where all the action is going to coming up very soon.
Yes, we have the Indonesians here going up against Laos. Let's go. So who's going to be the king of the hill right now? The Indonesians, they seem to be on top, but we have a first team eliminated. So that's going to be Brunei 2, the team that we saw earlier on. And now Indonesia. That's a couple of warning shots being sent down, but this place is within the circle, and they seem to have a 50-50 split between these two teams when it comes to the Gakka Mountain.
Yep, so far still a bit of a peaceful fight between these two guys. Very quiet. We do have a third party coming out, a shoot coming from the northern side there. But on Laos Black, him going to just get himself some band-aids while Chang actually being knocked down. It's a hard position for the rest of Indonesian team to actually help their teammate unless they have enough smoke to Chang just go for disengagement, but it's just a hard core. I don't think Alien gonna actually charge in. But the rest of Laos team here, Long and Black team they can actually go for the side flank if they want to, but they want to charge up straight head on. I'm not sure if that's really a good idea.
Yeah, I'm not too sure though if that's a good idea. Totally agree with that, since it can be fairly open in certain areas. But looking at the elimination feed as well, looks like two team members from Thailand have been knocked down somewhere else. Not too sure what's happening there, but the Thais, I'm sure they bring a lot of hope for their country. Hopefully they'll be able to do well. Now we move over to Noir, who has a low ground advantage. Now shooting onto the side, but will not connect those shots just yet.
For Laos team, which is going to be Noor, still tapping out with SLRs. Well, Indonesian, they're still stuck there. It is not what we expect them to play as, but this is very classic coming up from Laos team to just deny their mobility, making sure they can just shoot their tires, whatever, just making sure they cannot have an exit out later on. But we do have the Cambodian team versus Philippines. And the next one. So I have a bad feeling about Mumbai, the rest of them. They have been fighting since the start here. And they already have, 2-3 fights non-stop right after. Luckily enough, they have enough time to recuperate. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, and the good thing is that they still have some time though, despite they don't have the circle. So they need to recover themselves. It's just that what are they going to do next? That's something that they need to discover quickly. And now we look at the elimination feed. Someone else has been knocked down. That's going to be Skynin from Cambodia going up against the Philippines, who have the compound. But the Philippines, they are not interested to continue on this fight. They're starting to send a couple of team members out because they realize that they are not in the circle.
Yeah, there's gonna be Sky.
Oh,
We've seen Sky and the rest of the team, but they charge in. There goes the spray, but the crouch just now. The prone panning out, and that's gonna be a clean one coming out from the rest of Team Cambodia. Oh man, that was a good rush coming out from them. Now we mentioned about the team coming out from the Philippines is going to be key, which having a hard time since the start. Now they have to tank the blue just to have to sacrifice one of their teammates and just build it out. Like it or not, they have to work things around Rozhok right now, while the rest of Team Cambodia are coming out. Sky and also the rest of them and Shroud. This is a different Shroud coming up from APG Esports. They're really having a lucky day, having 4 total points of elimination since the start. Now we're still on the third circle, by the way.
yeah, we've seen Shroud for quite a bit now. I mean, and I don't know, his name always is always very memeable, and I really expect him to put up a good show. But yep, I mean, he is Shroud. He has played in very high tier tournaments, so yeah, glad to see him here as well. But now we move over to Thailand versus the Philippines. So the Philippines back to back though, we've seen them engage in the skirmish earlier on, and now they're going up against Thailand.
Yep, this is going to be Zap from Philippines versus the Thai. Now we do know the Thais are the Titans in here. Definitely they are one of the teams that should be looked out for. The Logan and the rest of them quite spread out, but based on how team coming up from Philippines here, we do have Shazam in the center, swimming around the corner, but they are stuck in between. They cannot get out from it. The moment they dock themselves, they'll be exposing to so many teams surrounding. There's going to be 360 degrees of all different colors and all different countries surrounding them.
Yeah, I know. It's not only the Thais, but we have another team on the northern side. But talking about other teams as well, here we have it from Myanmar, making their debut on screen at least. But they need to get past the Indonesians. Picking from Ion, mostly on the high ground, and now been spotted out. But then again, who's going to make that first move? Because there's only about 45 more seconds till the zone closes in.
Yep, that's going to be Genesis of Myanmar, Smile, and the rest of them just charge into his Indonesian teams. They're not even, they're quite a bit reckless if you ask me. And now in the open as well, not taking too much cover. They're kind of the bane for themselves and charging right in recklessly. Just didn't turn out so well. Has been counter attack or counter shot by the rest of Indonesian team. Ilham kind of stuck in the corner and the rest of the team going for a higher ground. I'm not sure if they have enough smokes to work with. Exo coming in for the charge. Now try to help on Ilham, but there's no smokes being popped yet. WT17 down on his knees as well. And the rest of the Myanmar team is just getting back on their feet. But where are the rest of these teams? Ilham, Exo, the only 2 person in the front line.
Oh, Asal, what a great move early on, but he needs backup here. Alvin starting to move in, but will he come inside? And yes, Asal will be the man with the solo show. And now Alvin came in as a backup, coming in from behind, but Smile is starting to move in to wipe smiles off their faces. Smile now with the micro Uzi, he will finish off as well. And Myanmar will be the next team to go out.
Boy, oh boy. That's not smiling anymore. Definitely the smile being wiped off their faces. Definitely not happy about this. But we do have some teams taking out the blue. Same goes for those actually in the center of it. We're going to have the Laos team actually in the center. Shooting range it is, just on the outskirts of it. While the rest of them coming up from Jogopul, it's a bit overcrowded on the southern side. But the rest of them that are actually on the northern will have a bit of a leeway or a very clear side to work with. Some of the Brunei Oreo hog over on the eastern side of shooting range where the Cambodian teams just walked in.
Ooh, and one of the Singaporean teams actually eliminated. So now there's only one more Singaporean team left. But now focusing on the Shroud. Shroud takes those long-range shots, and 27 will be taken out by one of the team members from Thailand. It seems Philippines will be eliminated as well. Now we're down to the top 12 teams.
Oh, Laos, that friend teams just not having an easy day to get into it. We do have the Ties, Bit, and Tony K. These are big names. We do know these guys are having huge potential when it comes to their firepower. Individual skill-wise, they're one of the best in the world. The Ties really have this going on. I'm not sure if they have enough elimination points yet, but they definitely already lost Ventura since the start. It's going to be 5 eliminations by far, and they are not stopping at all.
Oh, not at all, not at all. Expect more from that kind of team that has a lot of firepower. But now we move on to Laos. Ooh, a Nate. On to Kenzo. Down to 50%. Immediately retreats to his teammates. At the same time, we can see that Long will be taken out. Beer is starting to move in at the times. They're not done yet. They want more eliminations.
Oh boy, this is not a good ending. We do know how crazy can this get, but the Thai versus each other. Now, this is going to be a civil war amongst them. Definitely they're not going to charge in. Definitely they are going apart, and they're going to part ways. While Bear reposition himself toward Brunei teams, even scouting out for the rest of the another Thai teams that we're talking about, not just FaZe Clan. Definitely Infinity is going to have a bit of a shaky start. We're still on the 5th phase, while the Brunei is going to keep it low as much as possible.
Oh, there's someone there. The high ground, though. Overlooking the ties, but not taking those shots just yet. I believe that's Inzagi's teammate somehow. But okay, it's still a clear entrance for them for now, but not for long. One of them have been gunned down. Newsy have a spot on the outside of the circle, but still need to move.
Yep. Lose, you lose. You stop, you sometimes get more than what you expected it to be. For the side of FaZe Clan coming up from Ties, and also Infinity also from the Ties has been really productive, you ask me. They didn't stop for a moment here. Even their points are going up. And for Laos, they got themselves again in the center of it with Gotsi and Backout kind of have each other's back. But those trying to come up from the eastern side, now this is going to be a tough one.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be super crowded, but whoa! That shot from Mela takes down Shroud. I believe it was, okay, it was Gartuni actually helping out Mela at the same time, but it was a combo there between Mela as well as Gartuni securing that one more elimination for Thailand.
Yep, Thailand's going at it while Indonesians are struggling, still fighting against the Myanmar. We're talking about the Myanmars having all grenades all out. The Philippines, on the other hand, are staying very low and quiet behind. Now, Zap, the team's coming up from Philippines, can you take part of it as being a third party, but Tamu! He saw that Nick coming in, really nice timing to dodge it out. And now trying to exchange and giving the pressure towards the side of Indonesian team. Nachas, Zakaria, and also the rest of Zaki, I think, Zakaria with the micro Uzi. I don't think that works right when it comes to the open field like this. It's best to actually use rifle, but Tanyo is right across him. Took him a while, but still managed to secure, and that's going to be one whole team wiped out.
Yes, there's going to be more points towards the Indonesians. And now we move over to Thailand. Thailand, they're currently in the circle, but they only have 2 team members left. So it's going to be BR11 as well as Tony K. It's going to be the dynamic duo. Brunei also playing by the edge of the circle, trying to keep out the Singaporeans from coming in. But Singaporeans, they have the Indonesians right behind them.
Yep, it's going to be the side of Mighty down and nowhere to be seen. There's going to be the last person, down to 7 with 20 alive. It's going to be the Bruneians. This one's going to be ESB Bruneians. While Indonesia, both of them eliminated. Maybe, is it 1 or 2? There's going to be only the second team. I'm not sure where is the first team. While the first Thai team, we do have, I think this is going to be Infinity come up from the Thais, Newsy, and the rest of them. Got Tony, Logan, and Mela. Try to scout out things on position, getting information. Try to access it as much as possible against the Philippine teams. While the Indonesians are taking it very slow and taking their own sweet time right at the corner of the blue, they might just have to run for the next couple of seconds. That's 25 seconds, the time's ticking, and the blue will shrink. Now, this is where you want to be at the center of a circle.
Yeah, you definitely love having the circle, and that's Thailand right now, having the circle. Mela will be knocked down. He needs to be picked up, though. But the teams on the northern side, the Indonesians, the Singaporeans, man, they need to fight their way into the circle, and that's not a scenario that you'd like to be in. Both Thai teams actually having the circle at this moment.
Yep, and that's the thing. They know how to hold it. They are the kings when it comes to taking the compound and defending for themselves. But for the side of Shazam, coming out from the Philippines second team, Zap. We have Logan in the ties, just gonna give the pressure on their side, making sure they cannot even make an entry. Now this is where they try to get as much point as possible for the ties. And we do know they are really accurate when it comes to their recalls and firepower. But we have lost one more team along the way. It's gonna be the Brunei saying a bit of earlier goodbye.
Yeah, both Bruneian teams have been taken out, and now we're down to the top 6 teams. Just look at the amount of teams that managed to make their way into the circle. Some of them still on the outside, and Mela, one of those that's currently on the inside, but he needs to pick up God Tuni, who's being knocked out by the edge of the circle. The circle is starting to close in. Nuzi putting pressure onto the Philippines on the other side. Philippines, just look at how crowded the left side of the circle is there. There's like, what, 4 teams on the left side?
Possibly just one team by the end of the day, based on this current population that's on the western side. I'm like, no way all of this is going to survive here. Definitely a lot of them being shot down, those actually coming up from the northern side. Now, Bear trying to get as much as point as possible. Now they are reckoning up to 6, but only duo working on their side. While the Thais team, they have one more team. It's going to be Nuzi coming up from the flank. So he's giving off the pressure towards the Philippines. They are not connecting yet, but they definitely being knocked down, both of them. Shazam is the last person to actually work things out, but I'm not sure based on God's position, he got the bird's eye view here.
Oh yeah, he has a really nice view at the moment. Not only he has a nice view, he still has a full squad still active. And now the Philippines, they managed to slip in, but then again, one of their team members, Raymond, will be gunned down. Shazam is the last man standing for the Philippines, and now Shazam gets one for himself! Shazam managed to take out Logan before Mela takes him out. As a trade there, they still managed to secure one elimination point before bowing out.
LAOS still surviving, back out, trying to hold on as long as he can, fighting against another Indonesian team. We have the 2 Thais teams just sweeping the floor clean. We're talking about housekeeping team. They are definitely it, and they're not stopping as well. Now Sakura just have to build this one now. He tried to play as low as possible. I'm not sure where is Ragi currently stands in, but he's just having a hard time to survive by himself. Sakari are hoping the Thais won't actually scout him over, but it's just too hot here. Look at the terrain. It's just definitely, I think they saw him through. Yep, there he's down.
There you go. So there's like 3 teams right now. Inzaghi, the man from Indonesia, managed to spot one, but he's been immediately taken out by Mela. And now we're down to the 2 Thai teams. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? We talked about which country will dominate this, and I said Thailand, and they're just showing why they are strong. And here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. First chicken dinner won by Thailand, and that will be the Infinity.
Well, surprise. Something that we did not expect at all since the start, right? No,
Oh, I did
wow.
not. Wow.
Wow.
Oh my
Titans
God.
are so strong. Wow, that kind of a vibe. I mean, like, come on, these guys are world class. We're not actually taking the credit out from all the other teams. What you saw how confident they are when it comes to the team comms, when it comes to composition, when it comes to the formation. They're just so clean coming up from the ties.
So here we have it, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be Thailand taking out the first chicken dinner and also the second place. So when it comes to placement points, they got maximum points when it comes to round number 1. So all points goes to Thailand. Not too sure how many elimination points they got, but it's definitely still a lot. If you accumulate both teams, at least they're going to get like, what, almost 40 points?
Is it really 40 points now? That's going to be over the top, won't you? But I think definitely it's going to be a double digit. I'm not sure if we're going to see a 1 round triple digit. We might just going to see that if that's going to happen. But let's just walk into the replay a bit just to leave the moment out in case you guys missed the show just now.
Make it clap.
Broke that body to get naughty. Go, 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 Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go. Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go. Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go.
was a very intense game number 1, and of course Thailand was able to win that with, as I said, with confidence. And yes, that's the very first game of the Razer Invitational 2022 for Pubgm. While the first map has been won by Thailand, sitting on top of the other teams, you'll never know what will happen. So stay tuned for game number 2. But before that, we've seen all the highlights of the game. Our casters brought you all the action, all the hype. You know, all these moments in esports we're in, all those highlights and game-changing plays inside the community that you want to really feel the hype and energy coming from it. Well, as a player, as a viewer, and even as a caster, we want to appreciate all these in-game sounds, flashes, all the everything inside the game. Sound is actually the key to immersing yourself in game. Light up your immersion with the Razer Hammerhead True Wireless. With over 16.8 million colors by the Razer Chroma RGB, noise cancellation, and low latency gaming mode, you can always immerse yourself in the best esports experience, be it watching tournaments or being in this case. But if you missed out on what the Razer Invitational is all about, it's a tournament that features 10 of the top teams in Southeast Asia as they duke it out once again for the prize pool of $50,000 to pave the way for this race. And pave the way for this year's upcoming SEA Games. The tournament is sanctioned by SEA Games Federation and is presented by Razer by gamers and for gamers. So let's not keep you guys waiting as we'll be seeing more Pubgm action here. Let's bring in once again Sir Cloud and Juju. Let's head on to map number 2.
Thank you so much, BK, for the nice recap for a bit before we're getting into game number 2 here. Cloud, I have to say, well, of expected thing as we predict. So predictions, we can be oracles again here, Cloud.
Yeah, we can be oracles again. I mean, Thailand gave a very good performance, no doubt, in game number 1. And we will be seeing again another ERANGEL. So, could it be Thailand's game again? I don't know. But we've seen some other teams stepping up to the round as well. Philippines, they managed to survive into the final few circles. So they're putting up a good fight against the Thais as well. Now, of course, it's only round number 1. And as all gamers like to call it, it's the first warm-up round, so everyone's warming up to the match, getting used to each other. So who knows? We could see teams stepping up in game number 2.
Yep. Unfortunately, we're kind of missing some of the teams, but definitely for the next one, we want to see all 18 teams. We'll take this time, and definitely we are looking more fierce, more action-packed. Game number 2 is going to be ERANGEL, like you mentioned before, Cloud. That was like a warming up ERANGEL. Now this time it's a real ERANGEL hitting it.
Yeah, so it was a cool ERANGEL, so now it's the hot ERANGEL. So it's going to be a second time they're going to play each other. So they have a little bit of an idea of like where could they be meeting up. Like for example, we saw an early skirmish in Saverny, is one of those locations earlier on. So now they know that these two teams, earlier on, it was one of the Singaporean teams and one of the Bruneian teams. If they drop back into Saverny, they can expect to see those same teams again. Now, this could mean that they could change their strategies to drop into a different location instead.
That's definitely true, and the fact that they are on the, I think around on the eastern side, we do have a bit of overpopulation just now, and not many teams dropping on the northern side. But you know, there are teams that might have the same kind of mindset or even have the same wavelength. They want to do the same thing, so we might see certain places will be a bit overcrowded again, but not many teams actually dropping around. I think there's not many teams dropping around, so not coming to military base before. And I'm hoping like even the circle kind of forces them to get into the southern side. It'll be more fun to watch, but that was quite a generous circle if you ask me, based on the flight path, first circle. It pretty much you know, it's anybody's game, so
Yeah, it could be anybody's game depending on how the circle moves as well. So earlier on, the circle was on somewhere on the northern side, towards the left northern side, and who knows, the next circle, if it shifts towards the southern side, towards military base, it could be very, very different, a very, very different outcome. Maybe other teams would find more advantage if the circle was on the southern side. So let's see if anything changes for the next round. But what must change is some of the early draw slot whereby we saw early fights happen. Severny definitely has to change. I don't recall other locations having early fights, but definitely Severny. Maybe Yasnaya, but we'll need to review that again later on. But it doesn't matter. It has already passed. But what matters is the points collected by the teams.
Yep, well, so far we do know the Thais are taking the reign and they are the Titan. And right now they're taking the first and second place as we speak to three. I can't even work right now. 34 points and 24 points at first and second place. We're having at third and fourth place, 18 and 16. For Singaporeans, some of them are actually on the second page here, unfortunately, with 1.16 for the first team and the second team taking the 13 points at fifth place. Philippines, sixth place at 11 points, while Cambodia and Laos sharing the same points here, but different kills and different elimination points and placement points, where 7 and 8. So Brunei's actually topped out with the top 9 here instead of top 8 the usual. We have the top 9 at 9 points at the first page.
And we have Myanmar 1 on page number 2 and number 10 with 5 points. We have Malaysia 1, number 11 with 4 points. 4 points goes to Myanmar 2 as well at 12th place. Laos 1, number 13 with 3 points. Brunei 2, number 14 with 2 points. 1 point for Philippines 1 as well as Singapore 1, number 15 and number 16 respectively. Cambodia 2 as well as Malaysia 2, unfortunately not taking home any points yet in round number 1. But who knows? Round number 2 will be very different, as what we all gamers always say. Round 1 is always the warm-up round.
Yep, maybe a different team, hopefully, will actually start to take the reign when it comes to the top 9. I'm loving this, top 9. It's so different when a top 8 with first page, right? It's like a top 16, but no, this time it's going to be top 18. And it's based on I think it will be accumulation of both teams coming out from each country, right? So it's going to be sort of that way for calculation later? Or I think so.
Yeah, I think so as well. So it still matters as the points will be accumulated. And for now, it's kind of obvious that Thailand is definitely going to be on top because they number 1, number 2. And the points, you mentioned that 40 points, probably a bit too much. But now if you combine both teams after round number 1, it's 58 points for Thailand.
Now, imagine if, like, by the way, the format and the point system are very different this time. If you notice, we have 20 points for chicken dinner. The usual is like, what, 15, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's more points this time. And the elimination itself already like the usual 1 point each, I guess. And at this rate, I mean, like, if 2 teams combine accumulated points, I do want to see if is it possible for us to reach a triple digit. So I do want to see if that's going to happen, by the way.
Yeah. So the teams definitely will need to adapt to a different point system. And we did talk about the point system is slightly different in this round. Of course, this also to accommodate to the new format of 8 teams to be played. So these are top 3 teams at the moment. Of course, Thailand 1, 34 points. We saw that earlier on. And Thailand 2, 24 points. Thailand taking a maximum points so far with a total accumulation of 58 points. And Indonesia 1, third place with 18 points for now. But of course, that's only after 1 round. We've got a lot more rounds to go.
Yep, it's definitely at least the top 3. We get to see different flags. Well, definitely, there's only 2 teams for each of the country. Imagine in the next time, like, we have all 3 Thai teams, and it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 all Thais. That's gonna be really a headache for the rest of us. Like, we want to have a bit of a place in the top 3 as well, right? But so far, Indonesians slowly try to push up their points there. While we're looking at still, you mentioned Bruneians, how do I say it? Exceeded expectation performance. Based on their previous round as well as the previous tournaments that we casted before. But I would say maybe the same thing might go for Myanmar, because Myanmar, we haven't seen a lot of them and lately. So I'm looking for if they can actually bring something surprising for us.
Yeah, I want to see that as well. I mean, we saw like the Bruneians, one of the teams in Savani, they actually went out towards the Singaporean team, so it was an early elimination for one of the Bruneian teams. We didn't get to see the full potential of their gameplay in round number 1, so hopefully we'll be able to see that in round number 2. Of course, it will be a repeat in ERANGEL as what we mentioned earlier on. They kind of know like some drop spots are already taken, so they have a feel of like, okay, if I go back there and do the same thing, I'll probably be taken out early as well. So we may see the Bruneians adapt to the new map as well. And talking about the new map, this is it, round number 2, ERANGEL it is, and the flight path is going to begin from Primos up all the way to Lipovka.
I have to say this is a very generous fight path. Everybody can go anywhere they fancy. They can just drop on the northern side or even southern side. It's very nearby. It might be a bit longer rotation if they want to actually go up to Savannah or even Starboard. At this point, might need a couple of vehicles to work with. But the rest of them, if they want to drop to the main peninsula, it's something reachable. Especially, I do want to see if we get to see any Pachinki good fights. By the way, so everybody knows the fact that if you get yourself Pachinki, it's a center of the map. It's pretty much rotatable towards any side or any angle of the map itself, so it's a really huge vintage point and also a really good place to loot out from, one of the most luxurious looting place that these guys can get. But when it comes to clashing of drop spot will be happening here, since we already see the first map kind of a bit chaotic for some teams. Some of them even have a bit of a grab moment with having a taxi driver for a different team to hop onto as a start. I think there was a Mon just now. I think, yep, it was him. Yep.
Yeah, it was Mon Boy earlier on, so there was a bit of a comical moment earlier there, taxi driver moment. But keep your eyes on the military base. So we have 2 teams on the military base. So we have one of the Thai teams and one of the Cambodian teams. The circle will be somewhat similar as the first round, but on the right side. So it's going to be somewhere on towards the northern side. Now we're looking at one of the Thai teams as well. So we have Tony K here approaching one of the Malaysian teams on the other side, and that's represented by Gig Fam. They are driving across, but I guess they have a good enough distance not to meet up with each other.
Yep, and none of them actually have enough utilities to work with. Since the start, we do see some of them have nothing else for a couple of shotguns. Hopefully they are not engaging in long range fight, and it's not enough for them to actually start a fight even. That's going to be really disappointing if they're being forced to, but we're talking about the Thais. They can work things out. Even panning is actually one of their strategy. Definitely something that can use with. But we do have on the team Infinity coming up from Thai number 1, now hopping over to another Laos team number 2, which is going to be represented by 9 Esports. So, well, you're having a joyful ride here. Definitely nothing to work with again. Wow, Singaporean team 1 start to fight against another team here.
Yeah, also again another early fight here for the Singaporeans as well. Earlier on we saw the Singaporeans having an early fight, so well, let's see if this benefits them with those points at the back. But unfortunately for Lao, they will lose 1 player. They'll be playing with 3. And that was, I guess it was up against the Singaporeans as we saw the elimination feed earlier on.
Yep, that was definitely from the Singaporean teams. I think represented by Farhan just now, who's been very aggressive since the last match. And definitely they won't go for more. And Almighty is another team coming up from the Singaporean side for Singaporean team 2. While Malaysia, we do have on 11th place with 4 points. So back to as the Bruneians fighting against the Laos number 2 team represented by 9. Now they are surrounding this lot, and there's nowhere for backup to back this one. Look at the brutal ending coming up from the side of Team Laos 2. The Bruneians really having no mercy at all.
Yeah, definitely. They know they have that advantage against 1 player from Laos, and they immediately stomped the ground, and that's where they got their advantage of probably 2 eliminations at this moment. Yes, the Bruneians already got 2 eliminations, forcing the rest of the team members from Laos to evacuate the vicinity. So unfortunately, they'll be playing with only 2 team members left, and they'll be sticking with each other till the end.
I'm loving how the team coming out from I think it was Brunei's just now, how they actually surround the compound just to gain the information at first to see if there's anybody extra coming up from the team of Laos just now. And if they hadn't done that, they definitely wouldn't dare to rush in recklessly, just how we saw it before. And the fact they know there's nobody else coming in, that's why they have the moose. We get to see that they're more confident, more comfortable at the rush. That's how, you know, sometimes that these teams should take the fight into, like, instead of going straight head on full all in, might as well, you know, disperse a bit and take every corners possible and the angles, making sure you can get any information for the whereabouts of all the members of the enemy's team instead of just rushing in, because we've seen that mistakes been done before, and sometimes they're a bit of a stalemate, and they're losing a lot of resources and firepower unnecessarily when they rush in straight head on. They're a bit reckless, honestly.
Yeah, so that just happened, but I guess that kind of depends on the situation as well. If we talk about that earlier situation, then well, they still cleared out the compound, they still managed to secure the elimination points, so that's a good start at least for them. But talking about good start, so this is a team that has a really good start in round number 1. So we have the Infinity representing Thailand 1, and we have FaZe Clan here, netting themselves a 2nd place. And it looks like they have a new player though. I'm not too familiar with Iver. I think he was one of the new players, new addition into the team.
Yeah, this is where we get to see some teams are experimenting with their new roster, like we mentioned about Beakatron, Ion before, Ion, and also we get to see some players swapping over for their prodigy in the future. So we get to see this firsthand, something about this before the official tournaments in the future. So you mentioned about the new lineups. Maybe that's the 6th player or 5th player that actually being benched out the entire season previous, and now to have a bit of a warming up, even trying something new. You know, every single team, when they swap with only one person or only one player, the dynamic of the entire team can change tremendously when it comes to their firepower, their team comms, their synergy, even their mindset approaching towards a team formation and going into a fight is very different.
Yeah, it is very different going into it. So that's why they need time, right, to find their chemistry, to find their composition, and to beat teams that are really established. Like what we're looking at here, what are the teams that are established? Of course, the Infinity representing Thailand, and this established team is going up against Uncle PUBG, another team that we have seen in the Southeast Asia region tournaments and so on. But they're going to face up against a team that's really scary. So it's going to be Zero all alone. He managed to get 1 knock. That's a good one from Zero, but there's going to be 2 more right in front of him, and Zero just too much for him to handle.
Valiant effort coming up from Zero, a bit too lonely if you ask me, taking one whole team by himself, a bit too overachieving. That's a bit too much, definitely. Well, the rest of the team just arrived a bit too late. They already lost 1 man here. And Logan and Nuzin, the rest of Thai number 1 team going in. Stalker, I'm not sure where he landed himself. What was he thinking? He's going straight into the enemy's lair, and now the blue has to shrink as well.
Ooh, Astroax, his life is super low. Will he make it in time with the 1 first aid? But the Thais, they're losing this fight. But there's only 1 more left, and no, Mela goes down as well. So Godtuni will be the last man standing. Godtuni 1v3. Are they going to go from 0 to 0 in round number 2? The Thais only left with Godtuni at this moment. Stalker tossing out Nate onto Godtuni, but Godtuni will go down to Astroax, and the Thais will be the first team to go out.
If only they arrived earlier, I would have said that, you know, they might not need to lose 1 member here, but definitely it was worth fighting for. In the meantime, they need to get out from this certain compound because it's right inside of blue. It's so far from the circle, and they don't have much time anyway, and need to get themselves a bit of a, how do I say it, recuperation, just to make sure that they get to reset themselves, and got themselves a huge upgrade of loot based on that performance just now. It was really daring if you ask me what Astro did in Stalker as well. They just ran in with a buggy, and that was like, wow, that's really something that's high risk, high reward, but it was worth it.
I know, right? It was super worth it. I mean, just kind of think about it. At that point, it was a 3v4. And they still rammed in and they won the fight. So it's good for them. They managed to trade 4 eliminations to 1, so it's definitely worthwhile for them to do that. And they've taken out the number 1 team, so that's going to be worth them more than just points. It's going to be worth the momentum, the bragging rights, the team to slay the Giants. So now Thailand only has 1 more representative, and that's going to be FaZe Clan. But before we talk about Thai teams, looks like we can talk about Laos. One of them have been taken out by Sando from Myanmar.
And Bruneians, Burnley, going over their high ground compound, making sure they got themselves the vintage point here to get every angle covered. But the thing is, not much cover to play with. Sando taking on Long. Cambodia is just going to pass by. Indonesians in between, so they're kind of sandwiched between it. They're stuck for the side of Cambodia, number 1 team Sky, and the rest of them. I'm not sure if Sky's going to do this thing alone, but the rest of it seems like not backing him up just yet. Galaxy taking down on 1 towards his knees, but the Bruneians just going to run and gun at this point.
Yeah, the Bruneians, they're just going to run and gun, and they're not stopping right now. They're going up against Cambodia. And now one of them have been knocked down. There's 2 more still active in the same compound. Skynin is in the corner. Rival Lee will be knocked down onto the other side. Can they recover this quickly? The Bruneians backup is in the house. Where Shroud as well as Skynin is going to be a 2v2 because Zico goes down. Can they get 1 more? Yes, Galaxy as well. And now Kizo is the last man standing. It's going to be a 1v2. Can he actually do it? But no, he will not be able to win that fight. Brunei will bow down to Cambodia.
And it's going to be Brunei 0-2 too soon. This time they're really 0-2 too soon. If you ask me, with that only second phase of a circle, they really need to, just change up the name. It's kind of jinx them in terms of that way. But I have to say the Cambodians are really going out strong this time, especially Shroud and his teammates coming up from APG Esports of Cambodia. Things have been turning around here for a bit. Now, we did mention about Myanmar's, even Cambodian at this point, they can actually just take away this game anytime. And same goes for the side of Philippines. This is going to be Key Esports, Demigod, just taking over this compound by himself, while another person is actually being their watchman from the back. So, nobody seems to be like sharing this compound with them. So it's going to be a very peaceful day for them, but it won't be long. We do know the fact that when it comes to the 4th circle, definitely they cannot stay at one set and drop spot only, because 4th phase, you know it, somebody will clash onto someone else.
Oh yeah, definitely. And plus we must consider that in this round there's 18 teams instead of a standard 16 teams, so the probability to meet up with other teams is higher than your regular game. And now with that being said, the circle is starting to close in. We will see the 3rd circle coming in soon. And Thailand, so far, for FaZe Clan, they seem to have a good entry into the circle. But let's see, will they have a good circle right after this?
That's one thing. Getting a good entry is already something so hard to achieve. To even get favored by the circle is something impossible to get, by the way. Depends on how crafty you can get and rotate into it. Back about Cambodians, APG, if I'm not mistaken, this one. I think that was APG maybe. But back about Laos, we do have them at 9 Esports trying to stay this quietly. I did mention any game regardless, right? That somebody have to be someone that feeding the information towards those actually stay in the compound or indoors. At this state coming out from Laos just now, I don't think that's going to happen so far. It might be their bane here. They might make a mistake by not getting any information, but they do see everything through that window. So it's something still balance it out to get some tiny information is more than enough. But Astro already start to fight against another Singaporean team here.
Yep, that's some of the tiny information that can be used by the teams, knowing that a fight is happening somewhere else. And that is Astro X securing that elimination point for Cambodia. And talking about elimination points, Naughty Boy will be taken out by Tony K. So Thailand will receive their first elimination point in this round.
Yep, and now a bit quiet before the storm. Just like the usual insider. Struggling to not make any mistake. There goes the spray, but he whiffed so much and gave away his position as well. Juggernaut. Oh boy. Don't open fire if you cannot actually take them down directly. Now giving away too much information towards the side of Cambodian teams. And the rest of them might just circling them the other way round, just retaliating for the side of Cambodians. They definitely know what they're doing. They definitely know where are the teams, and they definitely heard the gunfires, and they are gatekeeping the circle as well.
Yep, at this moment, they're not only gatekeeping the circle, but they're also gatekeeping the teams below them. Now we move over to another team, and that's going to be from Myanmar. Smile will not be smiling anymore as he'll be taken out by Malaysia. So that's going to be QB getting the first elimination point for Malaysia in this round. But they have company on the other side. They have the rest of the members from Myanmar inside of Brozhong. And we have another Bruneian. Looks like he's been taken down. And Brunei needs to be careful as they only have one more team representing their country at this moment.
Oh, Pisau will be saved by newbies. The Cambodians taking away the kill to as Singaporean teams eliminated there. The Philippines, on the other hand, is going to be key esports representative for Philippines. Kid running around the corner. I'm not sure why they didn't take the advantage though. They do actually have 2 men on that side for the Philippines. They didn't open fire. They actually can give a lot of pressure before they actually can revive their own teammate just now for the Singaporean teams. I'm surprised you just let it be. Back to us is another Singaporean team. So talking about the Cambodians are struggling to survive, and it's done and dusted. Another team out. We're down to only 15.
Yep, and there's going to be Singapore netting the 4 elimination points from Cambodia. So there's going to be another team out, as what you mentioned. Carbo as well as Insider, they are still alive, but they are going to play as a duo towards the end without the circle on their side at this moment. 30 more seconds on the clock. So they're just going to take their time just to loot up. I guess they're going to go in for the late rotation looking at their current state.
I mean, like, they need more medkits if they actually want to. We've seen this before. If they want to go for a very late rotation, they want to play the last few, like, third party to, like, what, the 6-7 circle, might as well get themselves loot jumping to get themselves extra medkits, and also first 8 why not, like, trying to get that sustainability and survivability as long as possible. Speaking of survivability, some teams are struggling. They just have been rushed by the surprise. We're talking about so many teams that start to open fire here. It's definitely a war zone currently.
Oh, talking about the war, though, the war's happening now with the Myanmar, with the Vape being the last man standing. Can he actually win this fight against his other compatriots from Myanmar as well? So it's going to be Myanmar versus Myanmar. The nade will be caught up by Vape. He knows someone's on the outside, but he can't get a clear shot of that person. But looks like he's been helped out by Indonesia from the other side. So now the compound is clear.
It's not done and dusted yet. We're talking about the Myanmar is kind of stuck between 3 teams, yeah, at the center of it. The Bruneians. We also have the Thais approaching. And now the Philippines start to move as well. Mon boy, Demigod. Another Myanmar team eliminated there. Myanmar 1. As we speak, we do looking at Philippines 1. Going over to Indonesian teams. Now, who got themselves a circle? Brunei seems like they are actually almost at the center, but they're pretty low in terms of men and firepower. And it's pretty hard for them to defend against so many teams right around the corner. Now, we're talking about Brunei and ESB team, Newbie and Bear. Might have to play this as quiet as possible. But the problem is there's too many eyes already giving too much attention towards them.
Oh, and talking about eyes giving attention, we have Singapore. Got to give this team attention as well. They are currently one of the top teams in Singapore, but they're going to face up against Key Esports from Philippines. Both of these teams have the same reputation in the Pro League at this moment, and they're going to fight against each other, try to get into the circle. Moxie trying to find a good angle. Demigod has the high guy advantage, but they're playing by the edge of the circle, so they need to win this fight before they move in.
The Singaporeans really trying to format themselves in a certain way to get as much strategy as possible, making sure they won't lose any resources along the way. But the problem is, it's not just 2 teams, and it might be a third party stepping behind their back, but they managed to get Shroud at first. I think one person shot down on his knees here. Well, we do have Malaysian team passing by along the way. It's going to be Damn Rude and the rest of Malaysian team. Just trying to rotate, not meaning any harm at all, but You know what? The Singaporeans not giving his away easy. Vex just gonna spread it over casually, giving away his position. But the problem is they have to face another team right across them. They cannot have too much eyes onto a different focus at all.
Oh, and the circle shifts away from these two teams, and they have about 35 more seconds before the zone closes is onto them. Both these teams, they still maintain a full squad, but that might not be the case in a few more seconds as they need to decide where to go. The name will be tossed up by Moxie. Will land on the Demigod, but not enough to knock him down. But talking about knockdowns, Aris will be knocked down.
Moxie still trying to play around, but Mom Boy and the rest of his teams, look at the spray. There was just such a nice pressure on that side. But in the meantime, none of this team actually inside of a circle. They're just not going to waste any more time. They do know survivability is the key to actually get themselves that point. So it's all down to getting themselves in the center of the circle first. But the moment they step in, it's going to be an Indonesian team start to keep them from actually being an entry point there. Definitely it's not an easy task, but they have to keep it slow, but at the same time have to be very extra careful. Shroud on the other hand, the teams from Cambodians get himself already 5 elimination points, being gatekept here. Singaporeans, Moxie and the rest of them just got away from a different battle just now. And I have to face the teams actually on downhill there, on the lower ground, catch a glimpse, and it just starts to spray. It's just so tough for the teams that actually outside the circle to make an entry.
Oh no, that wasn't good for Moxie. Moxie will be eliminated by Inzaghi from Indonesia. And now move over to the Philippines. Looks like they're going to crash into the compound where the Indonesians are currently in. Damaso starting to move in with his teammate. They still have a full squad. They have that little bit of an advantage. But now Mombo goes up to the second floor, eliminates one for himself. And now the Philippines, they are taking over this compound.
Look at that grenade. The utility is so much they're being used here. Hopefully they have enough, at least couple of smokes to get out from this compound. If this stock here is going to be a big problem. If the circle is not even this compound, it's going to be a huge, humongous problem to work with. But if they got themselves right in the center of the circle and this is the compound they need to take and conquer with, they have to give whatever they have to fight for this. Now, Philippines try to snatch it away. It's going to be the Indonesian, Zagi, giving so much pressure towards the second story as well, to the Philippines team. While the Bruneians, we talked about this bear and one more person. I'm not sure if there's anybody else alive from the Bruneians ESB, but it's definitely the whole Indonesian team coming in rush, and the Philippines still struggling to take the domination to capitalize this compound for themselves.
Woo! Chang managed to get one knockdown. So that's going to be Damaso now. He needs to win this fight. Chang together with his teammate. They will finish up one just to secure the elimination point coming in from behind. And Chang will finish off the Filipinos. And Indonesia will win this compound. But the zone is not in this compound. They still need to move in about 40 more seconds.
And the moment they step out from this, it's going to be an open field, definitely. That's the thing. If the compound is not in the circle, it's going to be a huge headache. And the headache starts right now. They're going to have a lot of migraine for the team of an Indonesian taking a compound. But Indonesian team, both of them are still well and alive. Another team, we have Indonesian team 1 is still having 5 elimination points, getting themselves a huge number to start with for their second round here. While we have Malaysia start to push against the Philippines, and Newbie just dropped himself. What just happened? Breath spraying over, taking on Raimon. Is that the whole team of Philippines down just now?
Oh, it could be at this moment. Looking at that, we have only 7 more teams left. But now we're giving focus onto the Indonesians. They have a full squad and they have a lot of area covered. And now for the Myanmar teams, only left with 2 players. They need to find a way into the circle. They're currently on the outside, but checking out their flanks. They know that other teams are still around, and Cabo is starting to move into the circle as well, representing Singapore. And one of the Myanmar team's players looks like have been eliminated, down to 1 for Myanmar.
I have to say the second round really dominated by the Indonesians. They knew and they know this map so well this time, and things have been working so right for the entire match, as most of them are still survived with 4 men well and healthy. While Pemburu just gonna give off the pressure by himself, another man will lost along the way for the Malaysian teams. While the Thai spotted out the preemptive shot just now, I'm not sure if that's actually a good decision making by Pemburu, just baiting out the shots just towards him and attracted way too much attention. But Venturis being sniped from afar. I'm not sure from which team, but I think it's going to be the Indonesian are fighting against each other as well. It's going to be the civil war between the Indonesian, even though they got themselves the domination and capitalized towards this circle.
Oh, Tony K just managed to knock down the Chang! And Tony K will take out Chang with that vehicle explosion. That was a good long range coming for Tony K, and the Indonesians will be eliminated by their own brothers, by their own siblings on the other side. And it's going to be Genesis Dogma being eliminated by Bigatron Ion. And now Bigatron Ion representing Indonesia. They're playing within the circle down to the top 3 teams. And here we have it. Malaysia is still in there as well, but Pemburu will be gunned down by Alvin.
It's gonna be Indonesian again start the fight this time. Ilham and the rest of Bigatron Ion representative for Indonesia going in for the ties. Now they want to take the Titan down. We're talking about FaZe Clan ties. Tony K and the rest of them, when it comes to getting the formation the very last minute, they do know what's best for the team. Look at how they rotate all the other way around, playing the flank side now. Ver 5 going in with a grenade. Ilham on the other end going in with a vehicle. Now who gets to splash you first? Because the problem is if they don't shut down Ilham, it's going to be a huge headache for them. Ver 5 on the other hand doesn't have a lot of health to work with. He needs to heal himself up first. And the smoke is running out as well.
Oh yeah, the smoke will be blown away by the wind anytime soon. But who's going to take up this chicken dinner? Will it be Thailand? Will it be Indonesia? Will it be Thailand again though? Let's see what's going to happen. Beer starting going for the flanks on the right side. He has Genta just right in front of him. Thailand starting to move in. Tony K cooking up a nade, tossing it onto the side of Genta. But will it connect? Not just yet. Excel will be knocked down. So now Indonesia has only 3 active members left.
Now, this is pretty hard to watch. On the side of Thais, they're slowly losing men. But on the side of Indonesia, they are losing way faster. With Excel almost bleeding out at the... No! What a nice shot coming out from the Thais. We're looking at himself as a debut coming up from the Thai FaZe Clan performance this time. Will the Thais take another chicken dinner, or will suddenly Indonesian take it away right underneath their noses? Indonesian XL reposition himself on the flank side with the Scar now throwing off the smoke, making sure he can build the bridge over just to get his a better CQC. But XL randomly splayed, it didn't clip, it didn't connect, and that's going to be a bit of a problem.
Ooh, and now Thailand is starting to move into the circle, and they try and vanish now that they're taking out Ilham. XL is the last man standing. It's going to be a 1v3 scenario. Thailand is very likely to take home this second chicken dinner, but Indonesia, unless we can see an XL clutch, but it's going to be super tough. The nade will be tossed on the side of XL. Will it land onto him? Explosion, yes it will. XL now down to 50% of health, and he's out in the open.
Oh, he's being barbecued along the way. Now, definitely is quite an open, and oh boy, it's a really close game, but definitely is the Thais again to close things up. Indonesian had it going at first, and they were dominating and capitalizing the entire compound from every angle with 2 teams surviving. But because of the civil war between themselves and also the Thais just know where to stand, where to shoot from, and where to throw all the grenades. I have to say, again, coming up from FaZe Clan Thailand, number 2 team definitely is one of the best team in the world. They got themselves another chicken again from the Thais.
So for this particular Thai team, FaZe Clan, they got a second place finish in round number 1. Round number 2 is chicken dinner. No doubt they're currently the top team up there. But for overall for Thailand, it's good news. Basically, Thailand as a country securing 2 chicken dinners back to back. Thailand, kings of ERANGEL for the day. But the next round will be Miramar, so there will be a shift in terms of how these teams will play. Could it still be Thailand, or could it be something else?
I don't know, man. Like, honestly speaking, you saw how they managed to close the deal every single time, but we've seen them make mistakes before when it comes to Miramar. It's a huge map. It's a very open compound, by the way, and the terrain is very tricky to work with. So maybe we get to see some teams start to step up their game a bit when it comes to round number 3 later.
Yeah, maybe some teams they favor Miramar a little bit more, and ERANGEL's not that thing. So that's okay. Now that we're done with ERANGEL for today, we got 2 more rounds, and both of them will be in Miramar. Now, if Thailand again is still able to put up a good performance in Miramar, I mean that will definitely put them on top of the charts by the end of the day. But I do hope that to see some other teams stepping up. Like we saw a good fight as well from Cambodia earlier on, taking out the Infinity from Thailand. So that's a result of them starting to warm up, and I expect bigger things from these other countries, these other teams.
Yep, especially when we specifically mention about Encore PUBG. But let's walk into the highlight for a bit just to live a moment again. Yep, you know, we missed so much action just now because there's so many things happening throughout the entire progress of the match itself. Looking at a lot of teams also having a really sad dying moment, by the way. You saw some of them actually just drop off like flies without anybody to actually help them. This is where the friendship being tested here, Cloud, and most of them are not true friends when it comes to your teammates sometimes.
Yeah, I know, right? When it comes to the battlefield, it's like, okay, you just duke it out. Like everyone wants to be number one. Yeah, you come from the same country, but you will want your names to appear on the top of the charts. So naturally, you just go at each other. Yes, we may be friends on the outside, but in game, nope, we're definitely not friends.
Yep, if anything else, that is the only person and the only thing that I have in mind might be just I want to be the top terminator for this particular tournament, right? Even on this particular round. But speaking of, there's a lot of long range fights we've been looking over. There's a lot of unexpected snipes going along the way. But this is where I have to say really nice closing up by the side of the Thai teams.
So
So, you know what? We have to ask a bit of an opinion coming up from BK. Hoping she already had her burger dinner. I don't know.
Oh.
How's going on for you?
Not that I definitely won't be having any chicken dinners because I feel like if we were in their situation, I feel like I gotta have to get me out of the queue. I'm not that good when it comes to the game that I do enjoy watching all these replays. But you know what, guys? I also have to ask both of you, Sir Cloud and Choo Choo. I mean, Thailand and Indonesia, they have been performing very well, but are there any teams here that you are eyeing, or maybe you say they can perform very well in the next map, or it's still gonna be the same results?
I'm like, Cloud, you take this away. I'm like, I don't know. I don't
well,
know.
for me personally, I still think that Thailand is definitely going to be a very formidable force. I mean, we've seen them. I mean,
Right.
Thailand as a region itself is really, really strong. And looking at their first two games performances, both of the chicken dinners are won by a Thai team. So we can expect them to continue on a good performance coming into round number 3 and so on.
But
Yeah.
I think, Cloud, like you mentioned about this gonna be Miramar map, so it might be a bit different. So I want to ask BK, do you have any particular team do you think that you favor a bit more when it comes to Miramar?
You know, I feel like I say the Philippines because people are gonna say, "Oh, they're being a little bit too biased." Philippines, maybe a little bit of I want to see of Malaysia and Brunei. I don't know. I feel like that we bring out something new. Like when it comes to the next map, I believe it's not going to be ERANGEL anymore. It's going to be Miramar, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Well, it's Miramar map. We mentioned about when it comes to the new map coming in, the first round, usually it's just a warm-up. So, you know, anything can happen in a warm-up round right now since we haven't seen any Miramar yet. But when the second map, maybe that's where everything gets heated for a bit. So I personally think, you know, just watch out all the teams because sometimes some teams just had enough. They wanted like, you know what, don't overthink it and just shoot it out. And these guys just, you know, lose it the entire way.
Yeah, I know, right? And there are just so many things happening here. A lot of action, of course, brought to you by Mr. Cloud and Juju. Thank you so much for that awesome broadcast. But of course, If you're just an ordinary spectator, if you guys don't want to miss out on all the action here in Razer, you also know that on special occasions in real life there is a saying, "Go dress to kill," wherein you show up in all those glam accessories, fancy clothes to impress people. But in the case of the gaming world, it's all about the skins. Esports is no different, as you guys can show up in your games not only skilled but also dressed up for the part. But when you don't have skins to go for that, there is Razer Gold. Razer Gold is the unified virtual credits for gamers worldwide. Razer Gold also allows you to buy games and in-game content to give you more out of your purchases, including being rewarded with Razer Silver and exclusive game deals. But for right now, if you guys want to check that out, do download or do visit the Razer website for more information about it. There will be a short. All right. All right, okay. We won't be heading on to a break, but you guys just hold on tight there because we'll be showing the scoreboard once again for you guys to give you a recap of on what's happened in the first two games here in the Razer C Invitational. Chuchu and the Sir Cloud, your thoughts about Thailand and Indonesia's performance? Do you think they will go once again?
Cloud.
Yeah, I definitely
She's
think that they will perform well in following rounds. Yes, it's going to be a switch of a map. It's going to be very different in Miramar, but I don't think that takes away their experience, that takes away their skill, and we can expect them. At least I would expect them to still perform well. Maybe not a chicken dinner. I mean, 3 in a row for the same country. Come on. But even if they manage to get like a top 5 finish for themselves, I think it's still really good that they can maintain their top spot.
I mean, like, come on, Cloud. We know the fact that we are the underdogs, cheer and support. We don't want to see the Titans taking it over. I'm sorry, Titans. You guys is just so formidable that, you know what? Give the other region a chance sometimes. They want to shine as well. Like, why not in the Razer Invitational C, right? I mean, like, we're looking for even the team from Laos, Philippines. I do want to see them a lot, and definitely even the Cambodians. We do know they have been in PUBG for quite some time, so I'm looking for Miramar at least to have a bit of a more comfortable map for them to work with from the start.
Right. And Cloud mentioned earlier that if you did, or if you actually mastered ERANGEL, it's going to be easier when it comes to the other maps. But let's take a look at our leaderboards right now, Choo and Cloud. What do we have here?
For now, the scoreboard is still almost the same as of match 1. Since it's not really added up with match 2 just now, but definitely it's still the Thais taking the reign when it comes to the top 3 and the top 2 here. Indonesian got themselves quite a consistency, if you ask me. So these are the top 2 countries when it comes to the contenders, the top contenders, while Singapore, Philippines, Cambodia, Laos, and Brunei, you can see all different names of country following up at the first page. So it's still anybody's game when it comes to get themselves at the top 4 or top 5 here.
Yeah, and with that being said, guys, that is a recap of the leaderboards here in the Razer C Invitational. PUBG, we'll be right back, so stay tuned because we are going to be having more action, more games here. So don't you go away. We'll be right back in a jiffy.
Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go. Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go. Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go. Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go. Rooftop party, we get naughty. Go, 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 go.
still watching the Razer Invitational Southeast Asia 2022 PUBGM Division. This is still your host, Burger Kim, and we are set to begin real soon. There are still a lot of exciting matches this week, so don't miss out. Don't forget to follow Razer's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch pages for more information and for more updates. Once again, this Razer Invitational Southeast Asia, don't forget that there are more matches, not just PUBGM. We also have MLBB as well next week, so stay tuned for that. But for now, I won't keep you guys any longer. I will be passing the mic on to our casters once again. Take it away, Sir Cloud and Choo Choo.
Thank you so much, BK or Burger Kim. The burger lover, maybe not, I don't know, but she's definitely cute. But back to the next match though, Cloud. Definitely it's gonna be a different map entirely. Are you ready for Miramar?
Wow, it's going to be very, very different after this. So definitely super ready for it. I want to see how different would it be in Miramar, especially will it still be dominated by the Thai teams. They already got 2 chicken dinners back to back, despite a different team, but it's still Thailand.
I mean, like, wow, surprise. What do you expect? Wow, surprise. That's all I can say. I mean, like, Thailand's is like, really? Nobody else? Come on, guys. Just take away the throne sometimes. You want to put yourself in the limelight for once. I mean, like, come on. We do want the other countries to step up their match, step up their game, to give us something extraordinary, something that we haven't seen before, never seen before. And when it comes to like prediction, do you have any specific in mind? When it comes to predictions, come on, Oracle Cloud, take it away.
Oracle, wow. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna go with what the BK said earlier on, like the Bruneian teams and the Malaysian teams starting to step up a little bit. So let's see if they can actually show their fangs in Miramar soon after this round. And it's gonna be back-to-back Miramar, just to let everyone know as well. So it's gonna be a total of 4 games today. The first Miramar, yes, is going to be an introductory round. Expect some early fights, but maybe by the second Miramar, we'll see teams not really fighting with each other early on.
He wants to sneeze so bad, like, bless you. It's just the struggle to hold it in. It happens at the wrong time as well. But speaking of which, teams that really want to go for more, I can see also the Cambodians really step up their match in the last Erangel. But speaking of which, we have 2 maps back to back. It's going to be the same Miramar. I'm loving this rotation when it comes to the map, right? We have first Erangel, second Erangel. So the first one is like pretty much like a warming up round at first, and the second map where everybody started to have their engines started, all cylinders out. Same goes for Miramar. It might be a bit of feels like introduction for some teams that haven't fought against each other before. So there might be a bit of clashes when it comes to the drop spot and having some certain compound to share with. But when it comes to the second map, that's where things really get starting, and it gets really serious when they kind of have the general idea about the rotations of the other teams. But speaking of, this is going to be the first map of Miramar. I have a bad feeling about this when it comes to the first map of the day, where a lot of teams might just, having accidents, and especially accidents in Miramar. You know how the car flips sometimes.
Yeah, it's easy for cars to flip here in Miramar for some reason. The Barado and so on and so forth. Even the buggy as well seems to be, I don't know, they like to dance in Miramar for some reason. But ladies and gentlemen, we'll also be checking out the leaderboard scores as of now. And well, surprise, surprise, Thailand is still on top. Of course, Thailand 2 currently, because the other Thailand team, they were eliminated early on. But they're currently on top. And here it is for all of you. The scores currently 56 points for Thailand.
You know what? Cloud is a good oracle. He sees things before you can actually see it. So that's one of his plus point, is also his superpower. But the thing is, this is a very dramatic entrance coming out of the Indonesian side, because you just pull apart the Thai couple and just ram themselves in between in the second and third place. If you can actually make a drama out of this, because you just, they're being drifted apart. But both Thai's teams getting themselves chickens for the first 2 rounds there, and the only teams that actually got it, and the only country actually taking chickens so far. Do you think the number's going to go up still for the Thai teams?
Well, it should be. It should be the case. But let's not forget as well. So look at this. Indonesia having number 2 and number 3. So placement-wise, Indonesia currently has an average or maybe higher than the Thailand. I need to do the math, but well, now that we've moved on to the game, I guess we'll leave the math for later on. Plus, it's still just the first 2 games, as what every gamer would say. It's still early on, but let's see. A very nice, kind flight path from the middle, from Los Higos going up to Torre Achumada. So this will be a very balanced flight path, but will this circle be balanced for our teams?
Beautiful flight path, honestly speaking, a very generous one. But you mentioned about the circle. Sometimes, general flight path doesn't mean it's a good news at all, because we do know it gets wonky when it comes to the circle. We haven't seen a lot of Impala circle lately, as of late. We might have to see something unusual circle, hopefully. I really want to see that sometimes, the isolated islands and whatsoever. But a lot of teams have already dropped themselves quite early on. We're talking about Indonesia's second team here, Indonesia 2, which going to be, if I'm not mistaken, the Genesis Dogma GID. So GD GIDs, they are dropping quite early on, and they might bump into some of Singaporean players coming out from the second team here, which is going to be almighty. So even Chimasera quite crowded quite early on. I'm not sure if they will regret this decision, especially those dropping around Los Higos. Oh, never mind, it's not that far off, so it's a very nice circle still.
Yeah, nice circle, but a couple of drop spots here being shared between these couple of teams. So we have Cambodia as well as Laos. They're not only neighbors in their actual countries, but they seem to be neighboring in this area as well. I believe this is the area of Chumasera, and Leng will be knocked down. So Leng K will need to be picked up, but it's really, really early. Hopefully they can have enough space to move in, because now the advantage, of course, is to Cambodia.
Oh, this is a very handy VSS. One of the best weapons early on to use around, you work with. Definitely on the hands of Cambodians player. LAOS struggling right now. They don't have too much things to work with. Didn't have enough loot and equipment. Just longing for his life there. Twen just having a good leeway out, and is getting himself another knockdown. Swap over to AKM. I'm not sure where he dropped himself, but the VSS still behind him, so Starlord, I'm not sure he can make an entry here. Definitely being watched by Twen, while the rest of the teammate will clean up the mess just now. Indonesia start to fight against another Laos second team here. There's 2 Laos teams starting to fight straight early into the game. Now there's a bit of a problem, or it might be a blessing if they can retaliate and things over.
Okay, so now we start here. Shroud getting one for himself. That's a good spray there coming in from Shroud. So there's only one more team member left, and there you have it. Lao became the first team to go out, and the points will be given to Cambodia. Still maintaining all for their team members, not losing anyone, but gaining 4 points from that fight.
Feels like a bit of deja vu, if you ask me, based on the last map, even though it's ERANGEL. I mean, like, Cambodian team, APG Esports, previously was Uncle PUBG, got himself this sort of situation. So, Skynin definitely doing the same thing again, even though the last map they didn't actually won quite a lot. But when it comes to the first few rounds of early fights, I have to say, really, Cambodia is one of the teams that's really good when it comes to CQC or getting any fights at all when it comes to dropping straight into the battleground. But when it comes to mid-game, that's where they have a bit of a problem, where the rotation really speaks out. They're having a bit of a problem to secure themselves a good compound to work with.
Ooh, but talking about problem, here's problem. But, okay.
Never
That didn't
mind.
take too long. Yeah, never mind that. So, yeah, it is a problem still, but the problem has been dealt with. And now Indonesia will receive their next elimination point, brings them up to 2.
I mean, like, did we lose both Laos teams? I don't think so. But
Not
both
yet.
actually start to having a bit of a rush or ambush from a different country. So, I mean, like, Laos probably want to think about their strategy for the next round if things didn't turn out quite well for them, since both teams are actually struggling, if you notice. Like, straight head on, they're being finished up quite early, and then I'm not sure if it's something to do with their loot or something just a drop spot didn't work out well for them. But I definitely see a lot of some teams, even the Myanmar are fighting against Malaysia right now in a different compound entirely. The Indonesians, on the other hand, capitalizing. I think this is going to be Minas Desor, and it's going to be theirs to take. But the Myanmar side, if you notice, Cloud, Myanmar, Cambodia, even Malaysia, they really love early skirmishes. But when it comes to fifth circle, they just lost. Nowhere to be seen anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where you see like the Thai teams. You see them in the final few circles. But let's see. It will be the same case here for Indonesia as the Philippines. They notice that Indonesia is just right below them. They're all within the circle. That's at least a good news for these two teams. But looks like it's going to be a couple of warning shots fired onto the Indonesians, and they seem to leave them. But not just yet. Damaso is still around. Not too sure what's he doing here alone though.
I'm loving his position to give the information away to the other of his roster, the teammates. But in the meantime, he couldn't clutch this alone. Things cannot work out if Damaso is quite far off. But oh boy, that rush coming in. I'm not sure what they were thinking.
Wow, okay, yeah, not too sure though. No information, nothing whatsoever. Trying to rush in all alone and being gunned down immediately by Genta. And we must know that these teams, they are top teams in their country. So you cannot just rush in like that, looking down your opponent, and that's where you fail. And that's where Genta had the upper hand.
I have a feeling that Damaso actually didn't spot out Genta behind there somewhere. He thought all four men is right across him. So maybe his teammate were trying to clear up the loot in the compound they tried to rush just now. But that misinformation, just one person can actually make so much chaos for the side of Philippines teams. It's going to be the key sports here, definitely. But the moment you have this kind of misinformation towards the entire roster, it's going to be really what you plan beforehand is just going down the drain. So they are trying to make big rotation, try to enclose them and surrounding them. Damaso definitely got the vintage point, but he couldn't do much if he's doing it alone. Genta, on the other hand, one person to hold the angle just by himself.
I know, right? So he was 1v2 on the other side against Red Kid as well as Demigod. So he got Demigod. Now it's a confirmation that Demigod is out. Damaso on the other side, Red Kid on the other side. I'm not sure what kind of impact is Damaso going to bring as he is all alone there.
Surprisingly, I'm not sure if he noticed there's 3 people right across him. Waiting if he actually worked things out with the rest of the team. Damaso's still scouting out. He tried to find Genta, but the one he really should watch out for is actually Asal and Alvin right across him. If only he can pass that information about at least how many people right across him, not exactly the position yet, it will be work wonderful for the rest of the team. And one more thing they should notice is not them only 2 teams there. There's one more additional team approaching slowly with hopping over Brunei. Galaxy trying to take out Shazam a bit too late now. Contemplating way too much, overthinking. And now the Philippines gets away with it.
Oh, or maybe not, as Damaso goes down. So he was the one all alone, and that will be an easy elimination for the Indonesians. They will secure their second elimination point. And that was what we talked about, right? Like, why is Damaso... Okay, yes, you're right. He gathers information for his team, but other than that, he's alone there, and he's been alone there for too long. They notice that he's alone. They just go for him and easily secure that elimination point.
Yeah, the thing is, he did himself huge. How do I say it? Not really a favor. Definitely the other way round. He exploited himself by having a couple of shots before giving away his position, and definitely he shouldn't stay there anymore. Well, we have Ranked still lurking around the corners way too long, while back out kind of being cornered. But the thing is, they didn't gain any information just now. They didn't do anything. They did get a couple of information, but they didn't use it well. I have to say that's quite a bit of a disappointing moment for me to watch it. That they didn't use it to their advantage. Now we do have the ties. Well, definitely they are not slowing down at all. We're looking at them being very proactive, fighting against Cambodia's team Uncle PUBG head on. You can see how confident they are when they start to rotate and rush in. They don't even think twice here for the ties.
Oh yeah, even we saw on the elimination feed, Tony K gets one for himself. So both Thai teams getting eliminations on the board at around the same time. So like what you said, Thai teams, they just, I mean, we can go on and on. We can go the entire tournament just talking about how good the Thai teams are. Now, I really want to see a challenge being a challenge from the other teams stepping up and maybe putting Thai teams a run for their money.
At this rate, I'm not sure if there's any right now, as we witness so many teams kind of contemplating too much, overthinking is not the key to win. Thinking, yep, it might work if it actually there's some action to put in, but at this point, most of the team are a bit too cautious. Yeah, I have to say, conservative play is not the key right now for some situations. Now, Singapore's on the other hand, a bit too reckless. They have to think twice before entering into someone's lair. Shroud on the other end, there's a bit of exchange between two teams, Nasty and Shroud, for the knockdowns so far, but there's somebody else behind them. They have to be extra careful. Skyny start slowly approaching towards the flank side of a Singaporean team, which going to be represented by Almighty. But Skynin will actually save Shroud, not a problem. Don't even have to use any smoke at the time being. I'm surprised how Singaporeans didn't actually try to, try to really secure the execution here. It might be a big loss for them if they actually didn't finish off Shroud, and definitely it's going to be a pain in the back the moment Shroud stands back.
Oh, and that's like what you mentioned. So it looks like the Cambodians, they managed to reset themselves, and then Nate will be taken out one by one from the Singaporeans, and now Aris will go down through the Nate, and there's only one more Singaporean left still active, and this is their opportunity. Cambodians are going to capitalize on the opportunity given to them, and Singapore, they might look back at this and say that we should have finished it off. And now it's going to be 4v2. They're just going to rush in. Moxie still active, about 50% of health left. Moxie will be taken out, and Singapore will bow down to Cambodia.
Oh, it was theirs to take at first, but it was equal exchange, and it was like even out. The moment they actually exchanged a knockdown, but they were too careful. Sometimes, you got to know when to be too careful and when to not. When you got knocked down on the other side of an enemy's team, that's where you have to be not too careful. It's okay to be a bit reckless sometimes, to at least secure that one point, even though the entire team go down. But just now, what happened to the Cambodian teams, I have to say, sadly, they didn't actually get any points at all. Was it the Cambodian teams again? Yep, I think so.
It was the Bruneians that.
Sorry,
it was the
Bruneians.
Singaporeans that lost
Never
to
mind.
the Cambodians. Yeah, never mind that.
Never mind.
Yeah, I know because there are like two representatives from each country, so sometimes it gets a little bit But anyway, but the good news is that the Cambodians, they are still in this, and they just eliminated Singapore, so that's going to be 4 points in the back. Now for the Indonesians, they're making this rotation towards the left side. So far, it's going to be a good, easy entry for them into the circle. But as we approach the fourth circle, of course, we are playing with 18 teams. It's going to be more than the usual. The likelihood of bumping into another team early on is higher than your average game.
You know what? I cannot wait. It will be Sunhawk actually with this kind of a
Oh, yeah.
heavy populated match. I mean, like, there's not enough room for everyone. The most towns gonna be in Sanhok is only 16 towns, and then we have 18 teams. Even like one edge is not enough for them. Imagine, the smaller maps later, but it's gonna be tomorrow. Hopefully, you guys are gonna stay tuned with us. Back to the Bruneian team now. We have a lot of expectation based on their previous performance we've seen before. They do have a lot to offer, but sometimes things just didn't work out well for them. Another Singapore team eliminated. I think it was a previous battle that we witnessed back then. But back about the Bruneians, I'm really looking forward about their performance, especially when it comes from ATS, which is going to be Brunei's second team. Personally, I love their performance so much. I just wish they can push themselves even further.
Well, they have yet to change their team name from the last time we saw them. So I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's like, okay, maybe you guys just need to change your team name just to get a better luck. I'm just saying, like, instead of Auto Too Soon, maybe Auto Chicken Dinner or something like that. That'll be nice.
ACD, you mean?
Yeah, why not? No
Now
OCD
looking at
here.
Now, Requiem spraying so much towards the side of the Philippines Zap. But in the meantime, I'm not sure if he got himself a backup plan here. So definitely he attracted way too much attention, so they parked themselves while we're hovering around Myanmar's margin Esports. Mernat boy. They're taking themselves the higher ground, but definitely somebody's just beneath them, walking around the corners. It's going to be another Cambodian team here, Extra Wax, coming out from the Anko PUBG. But I'm not sure where are the rest of his teammates. I think they kind of lost during the process or still around the corner. I'm not sure. But Indonesian team, on the other hand, slowly stepping up the game. They're getting comfortable when it comes to getting their mojo and getting their momentum into this tournament. And they're slowly just pushing their points in the overall scoreboard.
Here we are, the dreaded fourth circle. Now I'm curious to know how the circle is at this moment, considering that these teams are still in the circle, so that's kind of okay. So maybe we'll wait to the fifth circle before they fight, or maybe not. It depends on what happens here. Chang is going in for the flanks, has the high ground, has the long range on to Logan just below him. And of course, this is a team that everyone wants to try to eliminate the Thai teams. But Genta from Indonesia will be taken out. So there's a fight happening somewhere else. But here is going to be Harmony maybe until the fifth circle, considering that's still within the fourth circle.
Oh boy, Thai start to move here while they rotate into the center of circle, taking a couple of shots against the Bruneians team. And the circle is actually just the rim of it around Montenegro. So high chances, I think, is it going to be power grid circle? No, never
Maybe.
mind. It's not really. It's not really power grid. It's not in there.
Oh.
So
Oh,
we're gonna
yeah,
have to
it's
wait
not.
and see. We're gonna wait and see. But before that, Indonesian team taking out a couple of shots in between. They are third partying possibly, but the Blues have started to shrink. We're looking over Asal struggling to keep themselves alive, but never mind. It's gonna be the Philippines. The Pinoys are start to just going over for their all-out cylinders moment. They're getting themselves 7 elimination points so far.
Wow, okay. The Philippines now getting 7 elimination points. That's something here while maintaining all 4 their team members. But now they do
Upranked
not
it.
the circle. They need to move forward. Global, the last man standing for Brunei. He's definitely not going to take those shots. He's definitely going to stay calm. He's going to stay chill, but at the same time, trying to move into the circle. But very, very open position for him.
I don't know if you noticed that Rankin actually grenaded himself along the process. Maybe it's accidents happens. We did mention about accidents in Miramar. Still around Montenegro, we're talking about stalemate between two teams here. It's going to be the Thais coming out from Infinity and also Indonesian Genesis Dogma GIDS. They're having a bit of a stalemate, while on the southern side of Montenegro, quite a bit populated here. Shroud, so many times he's being knocked down. I do wish we got the stats how many times being knocked down just by himself, yeah? I think since the start until now, the only person being on his knees all the way is going to be Shroud.
Yeah, but I think he's going to be picked up though, so someone's close by. But Opti has something to say about that, tossing out nail to the other side, and Opti with the nail eliminating shot. Not only that, he takes out 27, and the Philippines is starting to move in. Skynin is all alone. His teammate is behind. Skynin trying to get away. Skynin will thank those ledges as he drives off to the sunset.
Yep. Not really driving off sunset yet, just right across the corner, but oh boy, Naxin. Staying way too close to the sun at this point. It's not really the sun, it's the vehicle. Well, we're looking over Skynin. The only person surviving for his team now, really trying to push this by himself. I'm not sure how this is going to work a miracle here, but it's just no way he can fight against all 4 members. But he managed to knock one down, but it will not be closing up with an execution as Shazam will be picked up by Newbie, definitely. So we do have a couple of teams passing by as well as the Thais. And also there's one more, I think it was Malaysian team, Zappy from 4 Rivals, just passing by as well.
Oh, and Shazam, they already got 12 elimination points for the Philippines. I mean, this round is like their redemption round. It's like they're going at it. They're trying to get as many points as possible, and they're doing very well, in fact, while maintaining all for their team members. Now, this is another team that they need to take out. They don't want their top spot. That's, of course, one of the Thai teams. They're currently in the circle, playing by the edge of it. Indonesia being their neighbors. While on the right side, there's another team, so they need to be aware of Malaysia as well, who's currently in the circle, but it's going to be Appy all alone, so it's not going to be a big impact for now.
Oh, bear, what happened? I think somebody's trying to shoot them down while they're trying to rotate. It's going to be Singaporean start to bite them from the back. Indonesian Airland trying to secure himself right in center of the circle while we're looking over a drone view of what's happening right now. The Singaporeans team, Farang SG, start to push themselves towards the battlefield, but Cambodians has been waiting for. Astro is just going to be the gatekeeper. He's just going to deny their vehicle. It's going to be a pain denial because of how he needs that vehicle so much across the open field later on, just across the street. While we have Myanmar's team, Tamio and the rest of them coming up from Margin Esports, land themselves right at the outskirts, almost in the center of the circle, while Malaysian team still struggling to fight against their neighbors, which is going to be the Indonesian.
Ooh, can Myanmar actually hold on to this position? Indonesia just right behind them, and Naughty Boy goes down. Forward backstab coming in for Sakaria, and Sakaria will secure the elimination point. And now we have here the Myanmar team. They need to get into the circle, just right in front of them, but they do have Uncle PUBG, another Cambodian team, just right in front. And Myrna has the high ground, but he spots out Singapore on the right side. Should it be a big factor for them as they approach the circle?
They have a very good placement in the circle, if you ask me. They got the vintage point, they got the ledges to work with, the trench and everything else, but Astro! Oh boy! That's it. It's done for them.
Yeah, that's it for Cambodia too. Happy eliminated at 7th place. Now we look at the Indonesians. They're currently in the circle, but will they get the next circle? Zico is all alone, and Zico from Brunei will be gunned down by none other than the Thais.
Oh, the chase. Now we're not done yet. Alan, look at the spray! Goodness me!
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. Indonesian team just so reckless. Just not stopping. Very proactive. Taking it wherever and whenever they can. Across the map. Across all downtown. Singaporean require. Try to spot out where are the Philippines. And they are getting themselves quite a number of eliminations so far. But in the meantime, New Zealand, the Thais just backstabbing every single team there is.
You know, right? They have a really good position, and not only that, they have the circle, and they're sharing the circle with Indonesia. So currently, these two countries have the circle. Other than that, they need to move it. Insider for Singapore will go down. Chang, with the long range scopes out onto the other side, will not spot his enemy just yet. Philippines do not have the circle.
No, Philippines, they need to move forward. How so many teams have their eyes onto them. The moment the stab ends, there's going to be a lot of guns blazing around. Logan, on the other hand, trying to take down the Indonesian team across them. The Thais start to move forward. They got themselves center of a circle. The Philippines, can they squeeze in and take part of it? They got themselves quite a good start here. All they need is a good closing as well. Indonesians still stuck in with Thais. Now, we do know that first top three is the two countries, Thai and Indonesian. And definitely they are struggling to actually not sharing that position right now. But Myanmar, on the other hand, gatekept by the Indonesian. Chang shooting one down. Try to get 4 more. Try to finish it off. But definitely it will be his to take. Look at that tap. Oh, ruthless.
Ruthless tap indeed, and that secures another elimination point for them. But Singapore, on the other hand, unfortunately, happy eliminated at 5th place with Requiem with the last man standing, giving himself to the zone. And now let's see, the next circle is starting to close. Let's see who will get the next circle. The 7th circle will favor which team? So far, all teams are currently in it.
Indonesian Zari tried to make sure he's not been discovered, but the Philippines have to come in very quietly and slowly as well. They have not much to play with, not much covers here. Very quite an open field, a bit of a terrain to work with, and that's just it. They need to hover the other corner because they cannot see anything from this point. They gain no access of information whatsoever. And the Thais just taking the compound right in the center of a circle, even a huge upgrade of loot if they can approach it as well. But Inzaghi will be the bane here. He can actually be the taunt for all the teams out there. He got himself quite a vintage point, trying to spray over Myanmar's, giving off the pressure. But it's quite hard with so many clouds of smokes in between.
Oh yeah, it's definitely hazy here. But talking about hazy, Newsy will be gunned down from afar. But they do have the compound. They can reset themselves. Newsy now crawling for help. Should be able to be picked up by his teammate. While Mela tries to keep out the Philippines from coming in to their compound. But let's see, where will the second circle land, and it will still be Indonesia as well as Thailand getting this circle.
Oh, is it really them? Because it's at the center, so many pressure. Just tried to defend the center of the circle. Tamio! Oh boy, the Philippines! They try to just get this for themselves. Their debut. This is their time to shine. But the Thais making it so hard with Lag is actually taking one to the angle, covering, just keeping the pressure on towards the Philippines, while the rest of them facing all the other teams coming up forwards. It's going to be Indonesian. Tamio will be actually the person that gives away the position of Philippines. He might be the bane for them, and it's going to be tough if none of the Philippines actually spotting them out just yet. Now, they do have a lot of information for the Myanmar, a bit of a tough spot coming up from the Philippines with no cover to work with. They have to move forward, like it or not. They have to play around the wall here.
Yeah, they have no choice because the 7th circle, of course, it's really, really painful. They need to somehow pass through that wall, and it's not going to be easy as Newsy tosses out a nade! Whoa, that nade! That's a Kobe there coming up from Newsy onto Shazam, and Shazam, bam, goes down.
Oh, definitely. It's going to be tough. Philippines losing more men than they actually can count with their fingers. Newsy, just keep it going. Look at this, guys. Exchanging grenades and Molotov all over for the Indonesian. And Manat is just playing the heel for a bit. Tamio start to come in for the flank side as well. The Myanmars and the Philippines really trying to play as long as they can, while the Indonesian and the Thais just too busy working within themselves. Logan getting one! Manat! Can he close this one? But too much to handle for Logan. You know what? It's Logan.
It's Logan. It's Logan. He is unbeatable. Double elimination for Logan. But that is it for Myanmar. Now it's between Thailand as well as Indonesia. Will it be a third chicken dinner for Thailand? Indonesia, they're starting to move in now with Sakara being at the forefront. Aaron just right behind him, but Kartuni is going to be at the forefront as well. Now we have Inzaghi on the high ground. But what can Inzaghi do? He's trying to go in for the flanks, but can he spot out anyone else? Newsy is starting to move in. Yes, they got one, they got two, and now down to Inzaghi as well as Alan, the last two standing.
Oh, there's gonna be Alan that's running, not walking this time, but Alan being shot down with a UMP in his hand. Luckily, he got a level 3 fast to work with Inzaghi, trying to play the flank side. They're giving the pressure off. Will it be hitting a Kobe? That grenade is a nade of miracle. Hoping it will hit. It didn't work out. Newsy still survived. With only one medkit to work with, he still managed to clutch it out for the entire team. Heal himself up with no helmet on, and Alan just gonna take a bit of a go. That he just exposed himself. No, Alan, why?
Oh, Alan. Well, he gave himself up as it has in his information, but nevertheless, he managed to take down Logan. Inzaghi will go down, and now it's down to Alan. 1v3 or 1v4, in fact. Alan with a UMP. Can he do this? Can he clutch the Thai teams? Alan now down to 60% health. Alan takes one, two more, but it's just too much for him to handle. It is the Thais that we're talking about. Third chicken dinner. Everything goes to the Thais.
I mean, like, the Thais really has it spicy, sweet, and everything else in the fray. I mean, like, that was pretty much everything. The way they close it up every single time. You know, we don't see them actually getting themselves in the early skirmishes in the first few phases of the circle, right? But when it's the end of it, they're always there. It's like, they are the sort of like mosquito that you cannot get rid of no matter what you do, you know?
Come on, you put a double champion and you put a comeback champion in a recent tournament as well. You put two of the best Thai teams, not only two of the best Thai teams, you put two of the best teams in Southeast Asia. Arguably, these are the two best teams in Southeast Asia. And what do you get? You get 3 chicken dinners all towards Thailand.
We're gonna eat Thai for tonight's dinner. Definitely. With a bit of a tom yum goong and a bit of a spiciness of a tom yum spice chicken. You know, we don't have to make our minds for today's dinner. It's just gonna be Thai's team all the way. It's just insane. I mean, like, I don't know how they managed to secure themselves the center of the circle till the end of it. They have been defending that for such a long time with that kind of pressure. Not anybody can actually stand that much long and survive till the end and get themselves that chicken with all 4 men alive.
Exactly, and that is a really, really good point that you mentioned. All 4 men alive. They did not give away any point, at least for one of the Thai teams. The other one, well, of course, but this is still the best case scenario. I mean, this is still a very, very good scenario for the chicken dinner winner. You did not give away any points to your opponent while you secure everything else. This will definitely put them on top. Expect when we calculate the scores, number 1, number 2 is definitely going to be Thailand.
I'm not surprised at all, honestly speaking. I'm like, first few ERANGEL match, yeah, why not? I mean, like, this is straight Thai teams all the way into our third match of the day. We have one more left here. Can they close it with another Thai team? I mean, like, are you kidding me? Come on. The Indonesia team are so close. The Philippines start to step up their match here as well. I'm loving the fact that Myanmar and the Philippines getting themselves a top 4 here as well. This is a huge improvement if we compare to the first match. And hopefully they didn't lose their momentum along the way. But when it comes to closing the deal, the Thais is just way better when it comes to getting themselves in a very critical situation. Their composure is excellent. I mean, like, you saw how 2v1 Logan just now. This is, we just mentioned this, and it is like, it was 2v1 with a very long shot as well.
Exactly. Okay, players like Logan, players like Nuzi, they're like one-man army. It's like going up against one person. It's like going up against a 4-man team. That is just how good they are. And man, I mean, if they can finish up the day, the final Miramar today with another chicken dinner, it's a perfect day for Thailand.
I don't know. I mean, like, we have to ask BK later what she thought about this. I mean, like, she did have a bit of a BK, you had a bit of a expectation for the other teams, but you know what? Your expectation being crushed again by the Thais now. How do you feel about this?
My goodness, that last clutch by the Thais and the Indonesians, I was actually expecting the Indos to actually hold on to their fort, right? But after that, I was just like, the Thais, they just really know their stuff. Okay, right now, I know what to get for dinner, okay? I'll get Thai. I was actually debating what I was gonna go for tonight, because I really don't know. I've been getting my orders delivered here, but right now, I know what to get for dinner. It's going to be Thai. The third round, of course, closed out once again by the Thais. It's just amazing. Their control over all the maps and their composure, like what you mentioned, it's just insane.
I hope it's gonna be a burger with the Thai spice in it.
Spicy, yeah, Thai spices, yeah. Let's go with that. I don't know where I'm gonna get that, but congratulations to the Thais once again for all of you Thailand fans in the live stream. Well, it's we still have one more map to go to, but you know what? I'm gonna keep you guys in the on the seat. I'm not gonna ask you guys any more technical questions because that was such a tight match. But for the third series of the day, once again, it's gonna go to Thailand. But for anything else that can still happen in the next maps, who knows? And who knows? Who would have thought actually that esports would actually reach into mobile games that are trending right now? And if you are looking to become the next mobile esports star, just like these Pubgm players, you'd better get ready with the latest tech like smartphones or even the peripherals to get that upgrade for you. So how's about cranking up your iOS or Android devices with the Razer Kishi Universal Gaming Controller? Gain unhindered controls for your mobile phone games and its clickable analog thumbsticks with the ultra low latency gameplay. Get it either for iOS or Android device and go make your move. We're getting into the last map shortly, guys. This is the Razer Invitational Southeast Asia 2022, and we'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. You guys are still watching the Razer Invitational 2022, and I'm still your host, Burger Kim, still with you tonight. Time check, it's 9:05 in the Philippines. And guess what I got for dinner? Thai. I just ordered right now. So you know what? Let's see if it will still be the same case. Will it still be the Thais who will take in this next map, or the final map rather, for today in the Pubgm division? Let's get to know which team will top today's matches as we bring in once again our awesome casters, Sir Cloud and Choo Choo. Go take the mic.
Taking a mic, definitely. Thank you so much. Good actually having some Thai menus on you. What about you, Cloud?
Well, I definitely have Thai on the menu. I've just checked, and Thai is definitely served tonight as we approach our final game. And will it be all Thai, including the dessert as well for tonight?
Oh man, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm wishing for something, but I'm not sure what I'm wishing anymore, because you know what? We do want to see, and again, the Indonesian team so close about closing the gap here, but definitely it's still not reachable. We've seen that a lot of even the Philippines start to step up their matches, step up their game. I was looking forward for their performance earlier, and the Myanmars, though, on the other hand, really going aggressive when it comes to Miramar. It's so hard to say Myanmar and Miramar at the same time. So I think this is their map to actually take it over. So we're looking forward for... I mean, like, I don't know what to look forward anymore. You know, the moment we mentioned about we want other teams to step up, it's just going to be ties again. That's just
I know,
it.
right? I know, right? I mean, they got a top 5 finish earlier on, right? So, I don't know. Could there be signs for maybe early signs that's like, oh, they're starting to step up? I mean, for the past 3 games, you already said that, oh, maybe other teams are treating this as their early warm game, but it's now going into game number 4, and the ties are still very, very strong. Yes, of course, we have 2 representatives. One is the Infinity, and one more is FaZe Clan. So they kind of swap places a little bit. Like second place, Infinity went out early. FaZe Clan got the chicken dinner, and when they needed another team to step up, Infinity, not too sure what placement did they get on game number 3, but sorry, not too sure what FaZe Clan got on game number 3, but the Infinity got the chicken dinner. So it's like, oh, if you can't get the chicken dinner, I can get the chicken dinner. So as long as Thailand gets the chicken dinner, that's fine. So let's see if that happens in game number 4, and will it be again a top 1 and 2 finish for Thailand? I mean, if that happens, that's amazing.
Well, I do want to see the overall scoreboard to swap over sometimes, you know,
Mm-hmm.
instead of the same. I mean, like, at this point, it doesn't matter whether it's Infinity or FaZe Clan, as long as there are ties and also Indonesian teams in the top 4. It's always these 2 countries taking over the top 4 here. So I'm wondering, where are the other teams? Do we have any other teams that try to contend this? I'm waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, come on, Brunei, come on, Cambodia, come on, Myanmar, come on, Laos, come on, Malaysia, come on, Singapore, come on, Philippines. You guys can do it. It's time to step up. Don't let the Thais get a 4th chicken dinner. I mean, they've gotten the chicken dinners. Don't even give them the dessert now.
At least save yourself the dessert, you know? I mean, like, you guys kind of hungry right now, right? It must be. Like, all of us, the hosts, even the casters, are pretty much famished right now for something. But we're really hungry for your limelight. I mean, like, maybe they need to switch over their earphones to Hammerhead Razer to listen it better, you know, when it comes to approaching of the enemy. So maybe you guys should swap over some of your gears, asking for your bosses to provide with you something more greenish. But here comes the overall scoreboard. We're gonna see a bit in the future. You guys haven't switched over to this, but definitely you mentioned Cloud today. We do see 2 Thai teams getting such consistency, including the Indonesian team as well. But so far, no other team except for the Thais getting themselves a chicken. They even got a twin up there.
It's gonna be, well, no surprise. Come on. Thai teams currently on top, 68 points, 66 points. Thai 1, Thai 2. And we have followed by Indonesia, number 2, Indonesia number 1, and number 3 and number 4, 54 points, 47 points. And then we have the Philippines at number 5 with 41 points. Cambodia 1 at number 6 with 35 points. Malaysia 1 at number 7, 26 points. 26 points for Singapore 1 as well at 8th place. 9th place goes to Myanmar 1 with 24 points.
Yep, for the second page though, it's not that far off to catch up to the top 7 or top 9, but if they want to get a number 1, that's going to be times 3 for what they are having right now is Cambodia and also Singapore team 2. Actually at 16 points, 21 for Myanmar 2 at number 1 spot for the second page, not the number 1 spot. On the second page, it's going to be the 10th place. We have also the Brunei is only 1 point shy between each other, 13 and 14. And also tie with Brunei 14 spot. It's going to be Laos first team and Laos second team. We've got himself at 13 overall score point. While we have Philippines very far off, and same goes for Malaysia, quite far apart if you compare it for the other teams there, where they only have 1 single digit to work with. Now this is a bit of a problem. I have to mention this because if they want to catch up today, they have to start with this last match of the day number 1 itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, right? It's going to be quite a catching up to be done for a lot of these teams. Okay, now I'm trying to do a calculation here for Thailand. How many points is that? 134 points already by now. And of course, all chicken dinners, all theirs. Now, how far is Indonesia? So remember 134. So Indonesia, if we add on
It's
the numbers, it's 103.
101.
10, oh yeah, 101.
01.
So it's 33 points difference than the second place country at this moment.
Yeah, but when it comes to the Philippines, though, the fact that I have one team actually just getting themselves 1 digit, that's not much to work with. That's going to be for, if you compare it with the team itself, you might be on the top spot. But if you actually add on with another team to work together for your accumulated points, this is where Philippines being dragged down here, as they only have 8 points in total for their first team. So it's going to be like what, only 49 points in total. So I'm sorry, oh yeah, 49 points. Now Cambodia, if you add on everything else, is 35 plus. It's going to be 51. So still, it's like, it doesn't matter if they got themselves the team in the top 9 or top 18. Is the most secure way is getting both team actually get in the first page. So it's really going to add things up. But if it's like one team is extreme, the other is like way at the bottom, it's going to be like we meet halfway, which is going to be quite a minus point in the
Yeah, I mean, the gap is quite significant, considering as well that this time the format is slightly different, whereby the chicken dinner winner will receive 20 points instead of 15 points. So that's why we see that the gap is fairly big. But of course, for teams that are on like a page 2 or they went out early, they still get at least 1 point based on placement. So they don't go back empty-handed. So that's why you see every team has their own points at this moment. But the gap is just getting significant. Even like number 1 and number 2, the gap is like what, 30-ish points. That's equivalent to 1 chicken dinner and maybe like an average of about 10 points. Yeah,
Yep, double digit kills.
So the
yeah,
gap is quite
elimination.
big.
I agree. The fact that also we have both Thai teams at first and second, third and fourth, getting both Indonesian teams. Definitely, we do know when it comes to the top 3 teams of the country, and also top 3 teams. There we have Thailand 1, which gonna be none other than Infinity, taking 68 points, and we have Thailand 2, which is gonna be the Faceland at 66 points, now 2 points shy away from each other. But Indonesia, on the other hand, they have third and fourth, which gonna be the GDGIDS as third place. We do have Bigatron Ion on the 4th place. Now these are the top 2 contenders to secure the $5,000 plus so many merchandise coming out from Razer itself. To secure this, they have to maintain a consistency. This is only the first day, and we do notice that both countries there, when it comes to all these 4 teams, they try to drag the point as far, try to make the gap itself as far as possible with all the others, so they can be a bit more comfortable, not much pressure when it comes to second and third day.
Correct. There's more points to be collected, and there's a lesser games to be played. You know, as compared to like some other tournaments, you might have 5 or even 6 games a day, but this is 4 games over the course of 4 games per day for the next 3 days. So that's 12 rounds, and the points are higher. So if you're able to collect more points very early on, the gap will be quite significant. And to come back, it's not only about that particular team needing to catch up to the top teams. It's also about other 16 teams eyeing for that top spot, or 17 teams, whichever it is, eyeing for that top spot as well. So everyone wants the piece of the pie. Everyone is hungry for the points. And the prize pool that we're talking about, that's not little. It's quite significant prize pool. So definitely that will be a big motivation for these teams, besides as well representing their countries. But let's see if anything will change here, Choo Choo, in round number 4. This is Miramar.
Well, I have to say another generous flight we have again. So I'm not sure about the circle, but definitely this is within their reach for any teams out there. From Impala up to Trailer Park, all the way from down east to as in northwest side. Well, we've seen some teams love to drop around LAOS, but the thing is, we saw just now, Cloud, about how the Thai actually play. We do know the fact that the format itself is already changed when it comes to certain point and position points, right? If you notice, this feels like back then, like a way start early of PMCO season 1 and 2, where the position points really matter so much and a lot. And this is how the Thais plays it. It doesn't add up if they want to go all just elimination all the way, like the recent PMPO format. So this format itself, just making sure they got themselves a very safe rotation early first few phase, and just secure themselves the position point at first. That's just how they play. That's why you don't see any early skirmishes included for the Thai teams at all. And they play it smart.
I totally agree. I think that's very smart of them to. I'll see you in the final circle as much as possible. And talking about circle, it's going to be a kind circle. It's going to be very fair for everyone. And that's very smart of them to be playing that. Because the points is just a lot. Like what you say, it does remind me as well. Like during the PMCO days, whereby the point system is 20 and you see a lot of teams trying to play as safe as possible during the early stages. Of course, it's a little bit different. You get more teams, so the chances of you bumping into another team is a bit higher, so the stakes are a little bit different here. But the concept is going to be the same. I'll see you in the final circle. I'll go for placement points. That will definitely be the main objective, rather than trying to balance it out with elimination points. Nah, you don't really need that with this kind of system.
Yeah, I agree. And there's too much at stake if they actually want to go all aggressive and try to find the points quite early on. I mean, like, if it's a bonus, why not? If you got the opportunity and making sure that you can secure the elimination, that would be great. But if it's something that's still 50-50 and it's still early, I'm like, it's not worth it for them to invest way too much. Their resources, even their lifeline when it comes to certain teams, to go all in. It's not going to be worth it if they just stop there. Yes, high reward, high risk, high reward kind of thing, but with this kind of system and format points for placement, it's just not really worth it, like, honestly.
Not at all, not at all. And it's even more so when you're saying that, oh, okay, we are playing based on country. So as much as possible, we want as many points as possible based on country. So you don't want to slack off. You don't want to be like, oh, only one of the team trying to do all the heavy lifting and the other one's not really doing much. And if you accumulate all the points together, it still doesn't mean as much. So both teams need to be on the same wavelength to gather the best average amount of points possible.
I mean, like, TLDR version of it, don't be a burden. That's
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
That's harsh, but that's a fact, you know. You know what? Yeah, that's kind of true. I mean, the accumulation points really matter here, and both teams should perform quite right. And the fact that none of the any teams are actually having any cosmetics, so they haven't got a clue if they actually fight against each other. So that's another bit of a problem. But it's all about which team is the best in South Asia. This is where their pride gets in the way as well, and they really have to fight for their dignity and pride. Even though it's the same country, but you still want to have your team as the best team in South Asia, not just your country. It's also your team pride, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is. You want to be the best in Southeast Asia, in any tournament. I mean, it's a good time to be in esports, right? Like, we did see a few regional level tournaments recently as well, and even on the professional level, like the Southeast Asia level has a lot of attention. So you want to put your name up there, but not in the case of Black Him. Unfortunately, he will be the first one to go down. Not the way you want to put your name up there.
Yeah, it's against another civil war between these two teams, which going to be both Laos team. That's where it gets a bit tricky, you know. When it comes to, we did mention about don't be a burden, but the problem is sometimes when you play amongst your region and your country for local tournament, you get too used to. It's a bit of a habit to have the same rotation sometimes. So high chances they might fight against each other. Then the possibility to clash against another country is a bit lower than compared to your own region or country here. So it's pretty hard for Laos to actually not engaging against each other, which are going to be represented by our friends at Nine Esports. But I think all is well so far. We still have only one player. It's actually out of 72 players with 18 teams. 18 teams, my god! I can't wait for Sanhok, really. I just can't wait for Sanhok, you know. Imagine what happened in Paradise Resort.
Yeah, that'll happen tomorrow, right? Sign outs tomorrow. But today, we see fights happening right now. Tony K goes down to Godsey with a long range spray. And that's going to be one Thai player. Actually, we finish off by Long. So one of the Thai teams actually handicapped at this moment. But now we move on to back out. He's not going to back out of this. He needs to win this fight. Going up against another team right in front of him. And that's going to be a FaZe Clan from Thailand as well.
It's FaZe Clan. We've seen how they can just go for CQC when they are fully armed. Well, back up, really backing it out. Look at how many smokes they actually push out. It's just... Oh boy, you can see he's been cornered every angle possible. Gotsy got his back, but can he really do this? I don't want to be skeptical about this, but Venturis, also we see them, both of them, taking a grenade out. But they might part ways. Venturis found out back out. Bear, on the other hand, going for the flank. Possibly. He's kind of... Honestly, it's like they've been sandwiched between two. But I think the Thai is just going to disengage. They know this is not worth the fight because we mentioned this before. They try to negate themselves from any fight possible in the early phase. So they don't want to invest way too much resource. That's one of their strategy. And it seems to be working for me in the entire Ray series here. But for the Lao side, it's a good thing they didn't get caught in between though.
Yeah, I know, right? A lot of these early fights that we see, sometime maybe just because they were caught in the crossfire, but like what you pointed out, they immediately leave the compound, like they're not interested to continue on the fight because it's only 1 point if you get eliminated at this moment. So you might as well, go for placement points, and that's where you see without Tony K, they're not going to go for it. And it seems to be the same case for their opponents as well. Yes, they got that one elimination over Thailand, but do you see them really pushing on the Thailand to try to wipe them out? Not really as well. So it seems that it's not only the Thais. It does feel that these teams are starting to realize that, let's go for placement because it's 20 points for chicken dinner. Everyone's starting to play a little bit safer this time.
Not just that. Even if you didn't get yourself chickens, you still secure quite a lot of number of points when it comes to positioning. Even on the top 5 here. Well, they did actually, push a bit of the bullet into the wheels, but on the side of Laos, like you mentioned, I'm surprised they didn't try to take the advantage as well. They can actually if they want to go for it, but I think they're a bit overthinking on their side as well. I don't want to see somebody try to take up a challenge against the Thais. I mean, like, they're just human beings as well. They just, for us, South Asian, we love to eat rice, so they definitely eat rice too. So, I mean, like, there's not much different when it comes to comparing as a human being, but it's all down to how confident you are when it comes to your own individual skills,
As what our producer says, right? Like, rice is life. Yeah. And I definitely agree with that. I think that around Southeast Asia, everyone enjoys a little bit of rice. Like, if you don't have rice in your meal, it ain't life.
Yeah, I mean, like, rice is everything here. I mean, like, fries is an extra bonus, but rice is a different story. It's something that you need. It's like the oxygen that you breathe for South Asian mostly. You can't feel the satiety if you don't have the rice, so what keeps us going, It what keeps every teams going actually. So I'm hoping for somebody to start to move forward at first, but apparently nobody is willing to take the risk too much at stake here. We do see the graveyard seems like to be center of the circle. Demigod. Now we did mention about Philippines teams, where Demigod and the rest of them quite having a never mind one knockdown at first. So waiting for any closure for the Indonesian team, Excel and the rest of them. I'm surprised they're being attacked quite harsh from a different team.
Yeah, from somewhere else as well. Excel seems to be all alone. So again, another split strategy here coming in for the Indonesians. The Bruneians knows exactly where they are. And you can see that this round is so different than previous round. Previous round, it's like, okay, by this moment, maybe one or two teams will be eliminated. But at this point, 10 minutes into the game, we still have all 18 teams intact. Everyone's just adapting to the 20-point system. And well, let's see if it works out for them. That means only one thing, and that's not only about Rice, but we'll see more action towards the final circle.
Yep. A rice at bigger price. I mean, I just tried to rhyme it. I'm trying. Speaking of the thing about having a different system every single tournament is quite risky, honestly. Like you kind of get used to this kind of a system that when you go to the professional scene, it's a bit of a problem if you go with this kind of tempo again. So the adaptability for the players to reset their mind according to the tournament rules and regulations is one more thing that we should admire in this tournament. Oh, speaking of the tie, even though it's just a second map here, they definitely go all in. It's gonna be the Philippines. Oh boy, even the Malaysians start to fight against Myanmar. We lost a bit of a footage there, but never mind. But so many fights in between suddenly. Maybe because of rotation, they start to wonder where to go next. They don't want to get into the circle way too late because there's a high chance of being gatekept. Caught up in a wildfire for some teams here.
Yeah, I think that that's the cause of some of the late rotations because we have a lot of teams. So when gatekeeping happens, it gets a little bit more tight. Yeah, and like what we saw earlier on, some of the eliminations was from Malaysia, I believe. GigFam was one of the teams. GigFam, we have seen them a lot as well in tournaments, and they're the type of team that they like to rotate in very, very late. So I'm not surprised if they are being gatekept at this moment. But now we have the Civil War happening, as what you like to call it. The two Indonesian teams shooting at each other, and they're playing by the edge of the circle, maybe? No, they're still in the circle after the circle closed.
We're not done there yet, but we do have the Cambodian fighting against the Lao teams. Another Cambodian team might just fight against another Myanmar team. We did mention this multiple times here, Cloud. If you compare with other, like, the teams that are actually on top, we're talking about Indonesian teams don't really like to skirmish way too early on. I mean, like, they might take a bit of a chance here and there if they actually spot somebody out. But Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, these three teams on the other end, including Philippines in the fray here, they love early skirmishes so much. But when it comes to the mid-game, they lost way too much resources. They lost too much firepower. They kind of handicapped when it comes to mid-game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, talking about handicap, Vintores goes down. So that's one down for the ties. But Nusi as well. Oh, no. Caught out in the open by the Filipinos. And now Nusi will be taken out. Both Thai teams suffering casualties.
They got themselves that vintage point. The Shazam and the rest of Philippines came out from Zap to zap everybody. And they got such a nice view as well. Look at that. I was surprised that he didn't try to shoot just now. He got a clear view. It was straight in the line of sight. It was his to take. Newbie, what are you doing? Newbie, you want it? Newbie, just go for it. He's been there for the entire time. Newbie!
Newbie, I know your name's a newbie, but I believe you're not an actual newbie. Come on, man, you could have taken that shot. What were you thinking? What was happening with newbie? I'm confused by that idle situation for newbie.
That was like a clean shot for him. He wouldn't take it. I mean, like, what was in his mind? Nobody else was there. He thought it was a prank or maybe just sort of a bait, but definitely not that case. Now, newbie start to shoot against Malaysian players. There's going to be retaliating on Sniper's side, but newbie... Newbie.
Newbie. That, I
You
mean,
wanted
that's
to be
the that's the only way to describe it. Newbie, newbie.
He got that
Newbie.
vintage point. He got that vintage point for a reason. Why?
Welcome to the mysteries of life, ladies and gentlemen. We'll never hear an answer unless we get to interview Newbie. But at least he'll be picked up by Shazam, so that's going to be a second chance for Newbie. Hopefully, he doesn't repeat his mistakes again. But talking about not repeating mistakes, Beer will go down, so it's now down to Iver, the last man standing for this Thai team. Malaysia has one down as well, down to Snipes as well as Damroot. The 2 players from Malaysia. Newbie is back up. Please don't do that again.
Newbie, come on. I have my hopes so high and expectation here. Don't let me down. Back to Malaysian side. They are struggling to keep baby alive. Just having a bit of a small window to actually revive their teammate, while Opti tried to hide himself from all the fires coming out from afar. While we're looking over graveyard at the outskirts of it, gonna be the next circle. Look, all the teams that's not inside of it. One of them will be one of the Malaysian and also Myanmar teams just fighting around St. Martin. They are struggling. While Indonesia is quite close by on the eastern side, only have to fight against I think it was Brunei's or Brunei's teams. The Singaporeans start to fight as well. Cambodians still hovering around the high points and the high mountains here. They got their eyes quite wide open, but I don't think anybody gonna come up from the southern side.
Yeah, doesn't seem to be the case though. We do see a lot of fights happening elsewhere, and this is a Newbie is back on our screen. Newbie now with a UMP has to face up against the Cambodian teams. We have Malaysia on the high ground. Looking below them is Myanmar, it seems. So they are caught on the outside of the circle at this moment. They need to defend this area, so they're playing the gatekeeping role. Let's see what will happen as we approach the 5th circle. It's very, very likely that the 5th circle will not be in this area.
Yeah, there's too many teams on the west and eastern side. Both left and right of the circle is quite heavily populated. Mon boy, this time he get things right, and hopefully he get things done here, because Malaysia and Pemburu from four rivals waiting for the right time to toss over that grenade, but it took him quite some time. Now he managed to get Demigod back on his feet, but this is a bit late if you ask me to cook up this nade, but seems like a perfect angle. I'm not sure if they managed to run away. He got Demigod on his knees again.
Demigod goes down, and now Pemburu trying to go in for the flank. He knows that someone's on his right side. Pulls out the M4 and gets a knockdown. There's one more on the left side, but Pemburu doesn't know. He's in the smoke on the left. Pemburu! He misses it! Oh no, Pemburu! Does he know? No, he does not! Not yet!
My god, that relief. That's been there for quite some time. I was like, Nani kore? Up to that certain point. What just happened? He missed that entire time. It was right across him. He could see the silhouette, but yet he was too contemplated to shoot things over. He can be a new team with Newbie later.
Alright, that's like so many weird things happening in this round.
They can be new BFF, best friends forever. I mean, like, that was really questionable for a bit. Maybe he was, you know, he might have caught a glimpse of it. There's 3 person in the start, right? Definitely is. But back to a Singaporean side, we do have number 15, Farang SG, just gonna clear things over. But on the graveyard, we're gonna have 2 or 3 teams. Brunei is slowly closing in. He's gonna be pierced out from the back. But the rest of them still having a bit of a good run, including Malaysian team Rift.
Yes, Rift now goes onto the high ground, gets another one onto Singapore, gets 2, in fact gets 3 in a row. Rift, definitely one of the top Terminators, and now he has one more to deal with, and yes he will. Singapore been eliminated single-handedly by Rift.
Well, he doesn't need the entire team. Seems like they all have their work done and dusted for the side of Malaysian team just now for 4 Rivals Alliance as they march over towards the circle next, but they still have a lot of contenders here. Global will have to face against the Indonesian team Zalv and Grenade just now, which is really tough to actually dodge that. But I do see Piazza, the Bruneians team, just arrived. The moment they just show their faces and face check about the situation, they got knocked out straight away on their knees.
Damn now has a high up, but he doesn't have to circle at this moment. No time for him to use any first aids. And another Malaysian team will be eliminated. Malaysia only down to one team left. The Filipinos, they still maintain a full squad, but they do not have enough time. The zone is closing in. Now we move over to the Bruneians playing a gatekeeping role, but they're being gatekept at the same time by another team just right behind them from Cambodia.
I have to say, Philippines having one of the highest kill volume right now with 8 elimination points by the zap of Philippines. Zapping any person that's passing by. A little bit of drift coming up from Singaporean Vax here and caught him in such a turmoil. Being in style doesn't mean that you'll survive, but definitely Vax going down the moment he drift was over. Now back to us, the Cambodians, they're having themselves quite a good vintage point just now. They rotate themselves into the center of the circle, but Bruneians are just following tail to tail about their tracks here. And the rest of Kizo and Bruneians, Galaxy and Kizo, Banley as well as Zico, try to challenge and fight head on to as the Cambodians teams of Shroud.
Oh, this fight has to happen because the zone is just right behind them. They need to finish up this fight. And of course, we have Brunei here going up against Cambodia on the other side. Shroud cooking up the day, tossing on to the other side where Rebel Lee is at. Will it land onto him? Shroud still cooking, still cooking. Will it be good looking for Shroud? And Shroud with a nade on the Rebel Lee. It does land, but not enough to take it down just yet.
Yep, just hitting half HP along the way. Now, Shroud is staying way too much and he's not welcome at all. And the smokes will dissipate. But the moment smoke's done, everything's settled. It's going to be a real clear view for the side of Brunei to shoot them down. But the thing is, they do have compound for Galaxy to work with. Shroud! Oh no, he's quite out in the open. Brunei and Galaxy trying to take one down. Shroud finished off Zico just now. And Galaxy just kept the pressure on towards the blue zone. Stay in the blue, they say, but it's not enough. We have one more Indonesian team gonna creep in and third party all the way, while the Brunei is pretty much stuck at as we see it.
No, look at the circle. It moves away from all these teams. Shroud will still need to be picked up. 41 seconds on the clock. They still maintain a full squad if they manage to pick up Shroud. But looks like the Bruneians are starting to move in at the same time. They need to be aware of Thailand. Thailand is still alive here. Gatuni representing Thailand. But they don't have the circle. All of them need to move. And 25 more seconds on the clock before the zone closes in.
No matter what, even though they're having a rough start for the Thai, still have one man surviving for the top 5. This is just how consistent they are. Back to the Bruneians, Galaxy and also Ben, they have to work as a duo right now as the Indonesian teams. Having also 2 men, Alan and Zaki to work with. We have Cambodians just taking reign over this, just taking this compound for themselves, capitalizing as much as possible, taking it towards their advantage. But Galaxy, on the other hand, still try to gatekeep this. I feel really worried for them because they have to be careful about those actually on top of them right now, which might just be the third party and the blue closes in. We do have Malaysian team still survive, but Galaxy on the other hand kind of stuck here. He got himself an exit out time and an opportunity not being used as wise as he should have been.
And look at who's in the circle. Right at this moment, it's going to be Malaysia in the circle with 16 eliminations. For Malaysia, of course, this is 4 rival alliance representing Malaysia. The only Malaysian team still active here. But they're trying to keep a lot of other teams trying to get into the circle. Now, the rest of other teams, they're currently on the outside. The long range coming from April, trying to fend them up. Pemburu will be gunned down by Alan. April now trying to defend the left side where Alan is still active, but Alan will be gunned down by Pemburu.
Oh, he tried to toss over the nade just now. Took him quite too long. Zagi, on the other hand, really last tick of health. He got one glimpse of it and headshot. He's down on his knees. On the side of Cambodia's team, they still have a bit of a leeway to get into the circle, but 27 on the other hand is really playing at the edge of the circle. Shroud is really loving exposing himself way too much in the open. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, maybe trying to bait things out, but Indonesia is still in the fray. We're down to 3 teams: Malaysian, Indonesian, and also Cambodia.
Ooh.
Now these 3 teams haven't got themselves any chicken yet. Able keep the pressure on. Oh, Zagi finished off by the play zone instead.
Yeah, so no points given, but now it's going to be Cambodia or Malaysia who's going to get this chicken dinner. So it's definitely not going to be a Thai team. We're going to see a new team here taking home this 4th chicken dinner for tonight. Another nade on the Pemburu. Pemburu goes down. But at the same time, the zone is starting to put pressure on these teams. Cambodia is starting to move in. Api at the forefront together with Pemburu. Pemburu has yet to be picked up though.
Oh boy, it's not done and dusted yet. Wraith, on the other hand, really low. I'm not sure if he got himself some health utilities to work with. Appy might be the frontliner for the team. He must be. Shroud managed to actually get himself healed up. Same goes for Malaysian teams. They're trying to just recuperate themselves, reassess the situation, and have a go again for their last match of today. Now, Sky is pretty low. I'm not sure he got himself healed up again. And UMP and is ending with a Scar. But oh my god, that was really anybody's game. Almost exchanging their traits there.
Oh yeah, look at the angle there. Skynet goes down. Now there's one more left. Next it is the last man standing. Next it 1v4. And could this be it? Could this be for Malaysia? For this chicken and a happy starting to move in. He needs to finish up the job. And Malaysia will take home round number 4.
They got themselves a dessert for today as our finishing of the map, the 4th map, the dessert. We have a 4 full course meal today. We start with ties until the ties got themselves into the 3rd map here, finally finished off by the Malaysian teams, who got themselves already high up in the first page, but can they carry all the way for both Malaysian team to accumulate their points later on? Going to be enough or not? But definitely the Malaysians start to push up their game, really all cylinders out when it comes to the last match of Miramar. I have to say, it was really a magical match, game all around, because so many people appears to be invisible sometimes.
Yeah, and now the team that has gotten 3 chicken dinners, well, not too sure exactly what position they got earlier on, but it wasn't the usual tie. But nevertheless, they still did fairly well overall, of course, for today. So this is also a signal coming in from other teams as well, saying that, hey, don't forget about us. It's not only the Thai show, but don't forget about your nasi lemak, your adobo, your I don't know what other dishes from other countries, but
I mean, like,
they're not to be forgotten.
I definitely, like, you know, the fried chickens from the Philippines is good. That franchise, everybody knows. I'm dying for it. But back about the performance of the day when it comes to the last match, you can see all the teams have feels like this is the last match anyway. So if they don't really push all out today, then the next thing they have to do is going all out tomorrow. They don't want to put themselves in a position where they have to worry way too much when it comes to second day. We do know, Cloud, second day is the most important day to secure themselves, to have, you know, a good finishing for the last day as well.
Yep, it's definitely going to be very, very important. Plus, after the end of the second day, it's basically 8 games are down, and we're down to the last 4 games. And tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, we will have Sandhawk. So it's going to be really interesting, like what you said, 18 teams inside the smallest map available. So I really want to see how that will turn out.
I mean, like, we really need to ask, especially DK Burger Kim's with a Thai menu tonight. What are your thoughts for the entire match of today? Yep.
Wow, I'm completely speechless. I completely forgot I was on mute. But you know what? Closing today, Malaysia, surprisingly, was the dessert for the last map. So I didn't expect that. I was expecting Thai once again on top, but that was such a great performance from all of our teams. But I guess that wraps up the final map of the day, guys. We're gonna be congratulating Thailand for being on top for today. Just for today, the team standings. We're gonna see more actually from the other teams. It's a game like this that makes you wonder how a team can perform so well in the stage of esports. And one of the factors actually is communication, guys. Shot calling, going for the gameplays, and organizing teamwork can totally make a difference, of course, since it was Malaysia getting this one this time around. Getting the grasp on how to win the games and tournaments. But with that being said, guys, how do you feel? I mean, you guys are Malaysians, with Malaysia winning this very last game of the day. I think they heard you. They're like, we had so much of the Thais for entree, for I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Cloud, you must be famished right now. You want some ice
Well,
cream?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everyone loves ice cream regardless wherever you come from. So yeah, ice cream for all. But on the subject, I guess to just put it out there, it doesn't matter which team wins for the last game, because as long as it's another team, in my opinion, because it does show the level of competition that other teams can put up as well. So it's not only about the Thai show, but other countries as well can step up in this tournament.
Definitely stepping up Malaysia this time in the last map. I mean, we had 4 maps today, and just to give you guys a quick recap, it was Thailand that dominated map number 1 up until map number 3, and finally for this last one, a little bit of a shakeup. It's gonna be Malaysia, but that's about it for this one. But I just also would like to highlight not just Malaysia and Thailand. The sound of esports has been unleashed as well with the Razer Black Shark V2 Pro. Take esports comms to the next level with its hyperspeed wireless connection, hyper clear mic, and noise cancellation. I believe our casters are sporting this right now. I'm also wearing one myself. It sounds so nice. I mean, you can hear the caster's voice so clearly. Talking about esports communication, this is exactly what you guys need. An upgrade, just in case you guys need one, go ahead and check it out, www.razer.com for more information. They got all other cool stuff that I mentioned earlier as well, just in case you guys want to get an upgrade, not just the headset, perhaps a mic or whatnot. Okay, check it out.
Pointing everything here. So
Yeah, I know. I was about to say, I did not notice that up until you were like, I was like, what is Choo Choo doing? Oh my goodness, that is a lot of mics in your background. I mean, it's so nice to actually be here actually in the invitational for Pubgm. So guys, I mean, I gotta ask you, right? That you've been casting for quite some time, both you, Choo Choo, as well as Sir Cloud. For this year, what makes it so different? I mean, for all the teams.
definitely the roast is a lot of different. When even we talked about the ties, like I think it was Face Clan Cloud that they got himself additional player this time. So we're looking at a lot of a team starts to swapping out and try to change their dynamics, getting their new lineup up and ready for a official tournament in the future. So definitely heard about the changes of the format itself. So everything is like an experimental phase for most of the teams.
Yeah. Speaking of our teams, guys, I feel like we have our leaderboards ready, up and ready for you guys to see. And let's take a look at the leaderboards for today. Give us a recap, Choo Choo and Sir Cloud, please. Take the floor.
Yep, so we have Thailand. Surprise, surprise, currently still on top. With Thailand 2, 69 points. Thailand 1 with 68 points, still dominating the overall charts. Followed by Indonesia with 54 points and Indonesia 1 with 47 points. So Indonesia is currently on second place overall as well. And followed by the Philippines at fifth place, 41 points. Philippines 2, that is. Cambodia 1 at number 6 with 35 points. And Singapore 1, number 7, 29 points. Malaysia 1 at number 8 with 26 points. And Myanmar 1 with number 9 with 24 points.
Yeah, I think most teams want to be in the number 1 teams instead of number 2, because all the teams in number 2 mostly win on second page, except for Laos and also Brunei, because and Philippines number 1. The rest of them are all team number 2 of Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore, Brunei, and Brunei. Both Bruneians actually on the second page, and they're quite far off. And Laos number 2, Philippines number 1, and Malaysia number 2. If you look at the scoreboard difference, it's still a huge gap between the first and second page here, and it's not much moving at all because it's dated to the latest yet. There you go. And then this is like the previous one based on based off match 3, if I'm not mistaken, but we're waiting. And not really, this updated version, because the Thais didn't actually get themselves in eliminations, right? So it's only minor change to the top 4. So we do want to see if the Thais for tomorrow, well, they're opening a chicken farm for themselves, because we can see so many chickens being produced on the sides based on the stats right now. But we're waiting for, especially the teams on second page, especially the country as in total. We noted about Brunei and Laos. Both teams are actually on second page here. It's a bit of a problem if you add up, even though they got themselves half of the country, or the other teams actually getting on first page.
Yeah, that's about it, I guess, guys. To sum it all up, of course, well said, Choo Choo and Sir Cloud. Thank you so much for that. But you know what? Before we head out, before we close this show, guys, any plugs you wanna put out there, Choo Choo, Sir Cloud, before we head out?
Take
Well,
it out. Take it.
I really look forward to tomorrow, especially when it comes to Sanhok. So 18 teams inside Sanhok. It's definitely going to be very interesting for us as viewers, as casters.
Yep. As for me, I want a second team to actually at least have their partner team or the other country team to actually have on first page at least. Especially these two country which are gonna be Brunei and Laos. They're really having it tough this time.
All right. There you go. Well said, Sir Choo. Sir Choo. I am famished right now.
Madam Cloud, search it in, Madam Cloud. Wow.
I just fused you guys together. I'm just so hungry right now. But you know what? Time check. It is almost 10 p.m. here in the Philippines. But you know what? Do you guys have any pages that you want to plug before we head out? Before I close this thing?
I like we're everywhere, right, Cloud? You guys can, you can or not follow if you want, but it would be great if you guys actually check us out for Sir Cloud. Also me, Choo Choo. We're on everywhere. Whatever you're watching right now, we're there as well. So yeah, Cloud.
Yeah,
Anything
perfect.
else except for Sanhok tomorrow that you're excited about?
Yep, we are on the Blue Book, the Insta Notebook. We are on MeTube, and we are everywhere. So definitely find us on all the social media channels.
Yes. Sheesh. Sheesh. There you go, guys. You know where to find our casters, but you're going to hear more from them actually tomorrow. We're going to be having a lot more exciting games. But as for me, guys, you can follow me on. I'm just on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, so I'm not everywhere just yet, okay? So that's at Burger Kim Cast. I'm also a caster, by the way. But that concludes day number one of the Razer C Invitational. I hope you guys had a blast watching all of the exciting plays from Southeast Asia's finest esports teams. There's still more to come for tomorrow, as you guys should tune in 3 p.m. same time, same place here on the Team Razer Facebook page. We're also live, by the way, on YouTube and Twitch, if I'm not mistaken. So all the streaming platforms of Razer, do check it out. Same time tomorrow, 3 p.m. Special thanks, of course, to Razer and Tier 1 Entertainment for making this tournament possible. But that's all for me. That's all for Sir Cloud and Choo Choo. I have to separate these two names. Okay, don't look for Sir Cloud. That person doesn't exist. Okay, my name is Burger Kim, and on behalf of Choo Choo and Sir Cloud, I'll see you guys once again tomorrow. Good night.
make it clap.